Chicago Blackhawks yesterday evening. Chicago was previously 0-13-3 versus the Predators before winning last night. Head coach John Hines on his team's performance.
We've had much more energy and spark to our game, and tonight I thought guys were working, but we just didn't have it, and some of that comes down to the execution on the chances. And I think it's important that they got to understand, even in this league, you can't get too low, because there's another one coming at 1 o'clock on Saturdays.
And the Tennessee Volunteers took down Louisiana last night 58-55 in the first round of the NCAA tournament, while Penn State upset Texas A&M 76-59, while the 12-seeded Princeton Tigers beat Arizona 59-55. The action continues today with second-round action beginning tomorrow morning at 11:10 a.m. And the Vanderbilt Commodores will take on Michigan in the second round of the NIT tomorrow, with the broadcast starting at 10:30 on 93.3 Classic Hits. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
1, 2, 3, 9. I think it was a good game. Had a couple of big plays.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live, thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. We are at the Rusty Nail out here in Hermitage. We got all the games on. It's right off the interstate. Come on out and see us. We got all the games on. Enjoy $3 two-lane beer drafts while taking in the opening round of the tournament with their St. Patrick's Day celebration. Caroline's here. You see my green shirt?
I was just about to pinch you, but now that you pointed it out,
Thank
I
you.
don't have to. How we doing?
You. Fantastic. The Rusty Nail is located in Hermitage and provides a great local atmosphere with 2 large outdoor patio and volleyball courts, plus great drinks, great food, especially the wings. I see Willie's eating them over there. I will have to give them a try later. Call now to reserve your private events and corporate parties. That's the Rusty Nail where we are today. It's a Fireball Hot Take Friday. So we're going to start today on some tea.
You know how much I love tea.
So just for backstory, the day John Robinson got fired, I told you in a group text message to you, Chase, and Ian, I said, hey, we may have a situation today with John Robinson. And I think you guys were like, what's going on here or whatever. And then about, 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, Ian Rappaport busted out that they had fired John Robinson. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So just remember that. Today, I found out this Mike Lombardi cut, that Mike Lombardi said that Kevin Byard's been asked to take a pay cut by the Titans and that they might release him, they might be bluffing. I didn't know if that was true or not. I mean, Lombardi's been in the league, but I didn't know, I didn't know how much Lombardi knew or didn't know or whatever. But I decided to do some research on it. Same place that told me Robinson was getting canned 20 minutes before it got out told me, and I'll just read straight from it, Kevin Byard has asked the Titans for a release. So apparently Mike Lombardi is right that the Titans did ask Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. I followed up. I was looking into that. I'm like, is that true? Did they ask him to take a pay cut? And I was told that Kevin Byard is asking for his release because they won't entertain an extension. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what that means. It does mean the pay cut thing is true. He's due $14 million this year. I don't know if he was going to take a pay cut or if part of it was that hey, I'll take a pay cut, but you have to guarantee me some more money down the road. And the Titans said, no, I don't know any of that. All I was told was Kevin Byard has asked for his release from the Titans. Now, remember, on Locker Cleanout Day, Kevin Byard was telling everybody, hey, I don't want to play anywhere else. This is where I've been, everything. So keep that in mind.
He said, I want to retire a Titan.
He said he wanted to retire a Titan. Then again, so did AJ.
That's true. Well, but AJ didn't ask for a release.
So what do we make of this whole situation? What do we make of Byard requesting a release? What do we make of the Titans wanting Byard to take a pay cut? What do we make of the report? Add that in with the Derrick Henry report last week. What do we make of all of it? I mean, I was listening to you today, and you guys were talking about, cap numbers and things like that. But I don't, to me, this has nothing to do with cap. The Titans are under the cap. If it's about, you cut him, it saves $6 million. What are you going to do with the $6 million on the cap?
Well, that's the pre-June 1st cut.
Well, yeah, but that's still pushing the same money into next year. If you're trying to clear the decks for the future, you're not pushing more money into next season on the cap.
It's about cash.
I think it's about saving $14 million is what I think it is.
It's about cash. It's about the fact that the Titans want to pinch pennies wherever they can, or maybe need to pinch pennies wherever they can. And going back all the way to the Michael Silver report that Derrick Henry was, quote-unquote, being shopped, once I heard that message to me was nobody's safe. Anything and everything is on the table. So when I heard this from Michael Lombardi, who is somebody that is plugged into the league,
he's got some sources.
He's got sources. I mean, I didn't know the extent of how true it was. Was it a snowball effect of one rumor went to this, went to that, went to that? But the idea that the Titans would ask Kevin Byard to take a pay cut, I don't think it's the craziest idea. I mean, it makes sense.
What about Byard asking for his release?
But that to me is Byard saying, no, I have done everything for this team. I have played every game against the Cowboys when Jeffrey Simmons and Derrick Henry didn't play, and I don't blame them for not playing. When the vets didn't play, Kevin Byard played when he didn't have to play. Kevin Byard has been a leader on this team. Kevin Byard has been consistent for this team. He has consistently produced for this team. He personifies everything that Mike Vrabel wants the Tennessee Titans to be. So if I'm Kevin Byard, why would I take a pay cut? I haven't done anything. I've done nothing to deserve a pay cut. So that to me is Kevin Byard saying, oh, you want me to take less money? Middle finger to you, I want out.
So I wonder if the whole pay cut thing, because, I mean, again, trying to cipher through what I've been told, that there's something, and I don't totally understand this about the PR and the team and everything else about what that may mean or what it may not mean or whatever. But
PR.
I wonder, I was just told that, the whole way that it'll be couched is for PR for the team or however, I don't know. I wonder if Byard went to them and said, hey, I want some more guaranteed money down the road. Mm-hmm. And then they said, well, no, we're not going to do that. We're not even. And what I was told was he wants a release because the Titans will not entertain an extension. So, I don't know who went to who first. I don't know if they went to him and said, hey, we'd like to give you a pay cut. And he said, well, okay, well, I want some more guaranteed money down the road if I take a pay cut. And the Titans said no.
That makes sense to me. The Titans go to him, take less money. Okay, well, you have to give me something in return. You have to give me the guaranteed years.
I don't know if he went to them after the season and said, my contract got 1 year after this year on the deal. I'd like a new contract. And the Titans said no. I don't know. I don't know any of that. All I know is that he's asked for his release from the Titans. Now, that doesn't mean the Titans have to release him.
He's under contract.
Like, that is one thing that, again, now this may be Byard's way of forcing the Titans' hand, right? Like, the Titans are just saying, okay, well, we want you to take a pay cut or we might release you. And then I think in Byard's, it's like, okay, fine, release me.
Yeah, do it.
And that would be his way of telling the team, like, if you want me to take a pay cut, you're going to have to cut me. I don't know. All I know is what I'm told by the same person who tipped me off 20 minutes before John Robinson was fired. The same person told me that Kevin Byard's asked for his release.
And I wonder here, who has more benefit of bending the knee first or of not bending the knee first? Because the Titans have all the leverage of you're under contract. We don't have to trade you if we don't want to. And then Kevin Byard would have the lingering uncertainty of, okay, if you cut me, I'm not under contract. I can go anywhere in the league, but I'm not under contract. There's no guarantee that I'm going to get picked up. Kevin Byard's one of the best safeties in the league. I think he would get picked up.
But would he get picked up?
Not for $14 million a year, I don't think.
And especially after free agency. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like all these teams in the league, they're picking up their pieces that they need, the holes that they need to fill.
Right. So the money that teams have budgeted is being spent.
Yes.
So if Bayard is due $14 million, and let's say the Titans say, hey, we'd like to pay you $9. We don't want to pay you $14. We want to pay you $9.
If that's what it is.
And Bayard's like, no. Like I'm due $14 million. I want my $14 million. And if I do $9 now, you have to guarantee me $5 next year. I mean, I don't know. But I think this is all, to be honest with you, I think this is all negotiating. Like, I think I want to be released is essentially Bayard's way of saying, let me go see what the market says I'm worth. You want me to take a pay cut because you don't think I'm worth $14 million. Let me go see what the market says I'm worth because Jesse Bates just got a bunch of money from Atlanta. So let's see if I'm worth that. Let's see what the market, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I've been told. And, I try to filter out, bull crap, and I'm telling you, like, I believe what I was told.
And I believe Kevin Byard when he said, I want to retire a Titan. I truly do believe that. So let's say the Titans release him. He goes out to the market. Kevin Byard can come back to the Titans and say, Team XYZ is offering me 12. Mm-hmm. Can you do 12.5? I'll come back for 12.5. So at least he now has some negotiating power. Now at least he has a tangible number. If some other team out there is willing to pay him 18, good riddance. Like, go have fun. Go collect that check. Best of luck to you moving forward, Kevin Byard.
Once you cut him, and again, not to be like Mr. Cap here, but all that money accelerates, all that dead money accelerates. Yes. So you can't sign him again. Like you could, I guess, technically. But you could,
but it would be not very smart.
Right. Now, what
but
they
that
could
would be
do,
Kevin Byard, but putting the ultimate test on himself, betting on himself.
They could allow him to seek a trade. And, I wasn't told that he requested a trade. I was told he requested a release.
But if the Titans don't want to pay him 14, is there another team in the league that would be willing to trade for that contract?
I think there probably would be because, see, again, not to get all minutiae here. If we're talking about, do I think there's a team out there that would pay $14 million for Kevin Byard for this season? I think there is. And then, so we're just talking about $14 million cash, which is his base salary.
Yeah.
So all that dead cap money and everything else, the other team wouldn't have to pay that.
I know.
Because they didn't give him a signing bonus. So then, say you have $8 million or $9 million in cap space, you just convert the salary into a bonus and, give Byard, another year on the deal, which is probably what he's looking for anyways. Give Byard another year, and then after that, then you probably cut him after the first year or what, you go as you pay as you go. I do think there would be somebody out there to do it. I don't think you'd get anything good in return for it. I mean, I think you'd probably get like a sixth, a fifth. I think at best you'd get a 2024 fifth for Byard. Like best case scenario. I mean, Jalen Ramsey went for a third. So, and Jalen Ramsey's younger. Actually, I think they might be the same age. The same draft year. So.
They're both going to be 30 going into this season.
I don't know where this goes. Like, I don't know if Byard goes to the Titans and requests a release, and then all of a sudden, Byard's released, and now he's out there in the market. And I hate to say this, I said this about Derrick Henry, but if Kevin Byard gets released on the Titans, like, you suck. Like, there is no way, to me, and I've said this about free agency, just get me some warm bodies. Get me some Scarbinis. Get me just some guys that can be out there. But it's all going to come down to Henry and Tannehill and Simmons and Byard and Burks and Okonkwo, and that's going to be what decides whether or not you're a good team this year. Well, you don't have Kevin Byard. Like, you are going to stink this year. I think so.
Are you?
I do.
You have Simmons, Henry, Tannehill, Burks. I think you're going to stink just because of Kevin Byard. And that's no disrespect to Kevin Byard and his impact to this team.
I think he's that important. Two, I think releasing Kevin Byard, what it says, just like trading Derrick Henry, like what it says is...
I think it's a bad message.
Like when Derrick gets up here and says, consistently, like Derrick doesn't believe this team can win, right? Like all he ever talks about is how they need to go get a young quarterback and they need to invest for the future and they need to do all... Right. Because he doesn't think they can win. Like when they were, piecing it together when he was on the team, nobody was saying, hey, let's think about the future because they thought they could win. And so I guess the point I'm making here is that I think they can win next year. They thought they could win next year. But if they're shopping Derrick Henry and if they end up releasing Kevin Byard, then I don't think you can win. And I'm not even saying, like, take the Henry trading him out of it. Just the idea that they were looking to move on from Derrick Henry. And then, maybe playing this game of chicken with Kevin Byard. I mean, if you don't think you need those guys, then you must not think you're going to be good next year, because I don't see you winning without those guys.
But in reality, though, I don't see the Titans really actually.
You think
and maybe that's just, the optimist in me. Maybe that's me looking at the glass half full, that this is all just posturing and negotiating for the Titans to be able to free up as much cash as possible. But I think they're both going to be back.
So you think that the Titans went to Kevin Byard and they said, we want you to take a pay cut. And Kevin Byard said no. Mm-hmm. And the Titans are going to pay him $14 million, and he's going to call them on their bluff.
Maybe. Or however it pans out. But it makes sense for the Titans to do that, right?
To ask him to take a pay cut?
Yes.
I mean, I guess.
If cash is the problem, if cash is what is in short supply.
According to Spot Track, the Titans right now, and this is because some of these deals haven't processed yet,
right.
But it's not like the Titans are spending a lot of money anyways.
Right.
The Titans are spending the least amount of money on their roster in the NFL. According to Spot Track. They have the least amount of money committed to 2023.
Which isn't normal. Like, I feel like everyone has this perception that the Titans are some sort of, like, cheap franchise, but the Titans spent the 10th most money on their defense in the league last year. Like, the Titans actually do spend money, but if the rumor that was going around at the Combine is true, that the Titans just don't have cash to spend, then that doesn't surprise me. That
I am telling you that
bottom of
rumor's
the
true.
league. Okay, so that is true. So it doesn't surprise me they're at the bottom of the league, and it doesn't surprise me that they're having these conversations with some of their veteran players, because the Titans' leverage is, look, you're getting up there in age. We need to have a little bit more disposable cash to build this team for the future. We'd like you to be a part of it. But if you're not willing to make those adjustments, which I don't blame those players if they're not willing to take a pay cut. If you're not willing to do it, then you can't be part of this team. But I do think at this point of the new league year, and it's early and there's still time, I think the Titans are flexing their muscle to see how far they can flex it.
Do you buy, knowing that you know where the report came from, do you buy that Kevin Byard went to the team and asked for his release?
Yes.
I do too. I mean, I really try. I wouldn't start this show talking about this if I didn't 100% believe what I was being told and where I was being told from. So we're off and rolling. Your reaction again. Kevin Byard, the Mike Lombardi thing about Kevin Byard, hey, they want him to take a pay cut. They might release him. I don't know. I'm told that's true. Secondly, I've been told Kevin Byard has gone to the Titans and asked for a release because they would not entertain an extension. With that, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We will get to you, 615-737-1025. We are live on this Fireball Hot Take Friday from the Rusty Nail out here in Hermitage. Come on out and see us. Come on out and say, hey, Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063 The Game.
Your home for MTSU basketball is 94.9 The Fan.
Three ball, yes, sir!
All the big shots and moments live here. MTSU basketball is on a station built for you. 94.9 The Fan.
Hi guys, it's Mark with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men. Our wave technology is backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge University. It's been shown to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, but will also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. This unprecedented offer is worth $600, but it's free to those who call in the next 2 minutes. Call 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
What's up, everybody? Michelle Knezvik here for Superbook Sports. And listen, make 2023 the year you beat Vegas. Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. No fancy computer algorithms, no guys across the pond setting lines for American sports, just the best team of odds makers in the business behind the counter at Superbook in Las Vegas. Plus, check out some of the best odds boosts and promo bets anywhere. Download the Superbook Sportsbook app or visit superbook.com to start your battle against Vegas right now. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willie Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. It's that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, it's Jared. Are you looking to move? If so, do yourself a favor and reach out to my friends at TriStar Moving. You can be assured your move will be stress-free because they've got new utility vans to help with pack jobs to separate your high-value or fragile items from the bulk of your furniture, and their movers are carefully picked and highly trained. No one in the game is doing this. TriStar Moving is raising the standard in the moving industry. When you're ready to move, give them a call. TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, or online at nationalmoving.org/radio, and tell them Jared Stillman referred you for 10% off. That's TriStar Moving.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah, and like us on Facebook, too. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And Jesse Bates is a good player, but to me, I think when, Byard, the kid at Tennessee, right? Kevin Byard, he's really a good player. They're trying to get him to take a pay cut. So would I sign Bates? If he doesn't take a pay cut, they're going to cut him. So if I sign Bates, do I go after? I would rather have Byard than Bates. I think he's really a good player. So you got to kind of play that around a little bit. You got to wait.
Oh, Kevin Byard. Wow, that's an interesting one because he's a former All-Pro. He's a heck of a player.
He's a really good player, but they're trying to get him to take a pay cut. He doesn't want to do it. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. Who's, they bluffing? Are they not bluffing? I mean, they got cap issues. I mean, that team's in a mess.
There you go. That was Mike Lombardi on the GM Shuffle. That's what led to whether or not the Titans were wanting Kevin Byard to take a pay cut, which led me down the rabbit hole of finding out that Kevin Byard, on this Fireball Hot Take Friday live from the Rusty Nail in Hermitage, Kevin Byard has requested, according to my source, Kevin Byard has requested a release from the Tennessee Titans. So I told you what I think this is during the break. I told you I think this is they went to Byard, said, we want you to take a pay cut. Byard said, screw you, I want my release. Like he felt disrespected by the fact that the Titans would go to him, the guy who plays every game, the guy who never complains, the guy who never says anything, that they would go to him and say, we want you to take a pay cut. And it was like, you want me to take a pay cut? Well, you're going to have to fire me because I'm not going to quit. You know what I mean?
I think any player has the right to feel that way, period. You want me to take a pay cut? That's the biggest slap in the face. But I think especially the fact that it's Byard, who has been so consistent in every single form he's been available. He is consistently a playmaker. He is consistently a leader in the locker room. There is nothing that Kevin Byard doesn't do right. There's nothing that Kevin Byard doesn't do, quote unquote, the Titan way. So especially for the Titans to go to Kevin Byard of all people and say, look, we need you to take less money. That, I would feel incredibly disrespected, and I think anyone would, but especially Kevin Byard. But it makes me think, if you're going to ask Kevin Byard to take a pay cut, who aren't you going to ask to take a pay cut?
Simmons.
Yes, yep.
Like, that's it.
That's the only sacred cow.
It's Simmons. That's it.
Because they can't ask him to take a pay cut.
Let me say this just real quickly, and then we'll get to your phone. 615-737-1025. Let me say this just, for everybody out there. The Titans are not a poor franchise. Like, there is this, I think there's a sentiment outside of Nashville that the Titans are a poor franchise. And that the Titans, are like how we laugh about the Bengals, because they're a poor franchise and, whatever. The Raiders, like we laugh about that. I think there's a sentiment outside of here that the Titans are poor. Now, I don't think the Titans are the richest owners in the NFL, but I don't think the Titans are poor. But now it really does feel like everything is shaking out the couch cushions just to find a couple nickels and dimes everywhere they can find it. And I'm trying to figure out how they went from we're spending all this money and bring in Julio Jones and we want to sign A.J. Brown to, oh, man, with Derrick Henry at $10 million, that's too much for us. Kevin Byard at $14 million, that's too much for us. When did that happen? I mean, it's not like the Lawan and the Woods and the Bullock and the Bud Dupree, I get all that. I mean, those guys were all hurt, or in the case of Robert Woods and Bullock, sucked. That I'm fine with.
Byard?
But you don't need the money, do you? Like, you don't need the cash.
I don't know that. Amy Adams-Strunk has a $500 million check that she's got to write over the next couple of years.
Well, I will say this. When they told us and had these press conferences about building a stadium, they didn't get up there and say, all right, guys, we promised to put forth, we're asking for the most money in the history of pro sports to build a brand new stadium, and we are asking for the most money in the history of public funding. But we promise, because remember, they've said, hey, we're going to put up $700 million and then PSLs or whatever will cover the rest of it. We promise we'll put up, our fair share of this. They didn't get up there and say, but we can't buy any players until then. They didn't say that. Now, obviously, they wouldn't say that. But if that's the case, then I feel kind of lied to. And I'm not going to accuse them of that yet. But if that's the case, if the Titans, and right now, according to SpotTrack, they are dead last in cash committed for next season. If the Titans go into next year and they're at the bottom of the league in payroll, and it is because they want to build a new stadium, and so they're going to take money away from the team in order to do it, well, I think that's screwed up. I think that's screwed up. So what? So now
the Bears owners doing that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So last year the Bears spent by far the least amount of money in the NFL. The Bears and Falcons, fun fact about this, the Bears and Falcons have to, the reason why the Falcons are signing all these deals. They have to get big cap numbers on their books so they can be compliant. But I go back to this of last year I defended the Titans. When the A.J. Brown trade went down, I defended the Titans. And I said that they were not a cheap organization. And that the A.J.'s antics are what got A.J. out of here, along with A.J.'s health and everything else. I defended the Titans on that. I said they're not cheap. But you're trying to shop Derrick Henry because, he makes too much money. He only makes $10 million. And you just paid Aaron Brewer $4 million. I mean, again, I'm talking about $4 million for Aaron Brewer. Derrick Henry's $10 million. I mean, that's
give me Derrick Henry for $10 million all day.
Yeah, if Aaron Brewer's $4 million, Derrick Henry should be $40 million. You know what I mean? As far as how good they are and valuable they are. But
I also feel like there's a certain extent where I kind of thought, and I don't want to say she learned her lesson, but I'll say it anyways, that Amy Adams-Strunk almost learned her lesson with AJ. You fire John Robinson after that Philadelphia Eagles game. And I don't think it was just the game, but it wasn't a good look. You trade A.J. Brown, then A.J. Brown just walks all over you the year after you fire your GM. Mm-hmm. I would think that's almost like a lesson to Amy Adams-Strunk that you got to get the cash out there. You have to pay those players. I would think she'd be hypersensitive to that, just being 1 year removed from losing out on A.J. Brown because you didn't pay him enough money.
And when they fired John Robinson, they said, we're doing this because we'll do whatever it takes to win. And, if you're going to have the lowest payroll in the league, and I'm not saying they will because I don't, this is not done yet. But if you're going to have the lowest payroll in the league, then you're really not doing what it takes to win, in my opinion. And maybe they're the only thing I can think of with this is, we'll get to it on the other side. 615-737-1025, and I promise I'll get to your phones here as well. On a Fireball Hot Take Friday, Stillman and Company, if you're just joining us, per a source, I've been told Kevin Byard has requested his release from the Tennessee Titans. And I just want to put it out there, requesting your release does not mean that you will be released. It does not mean that you have been released. It just means that you have requested your release. That's what I've been told. Because the Titans were not interested in entertaining an extension, and I was told that Byard was, in fact, asked to take a pay cut. 615-737-1025. Fireball Whiskey on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Fireball goes down so smooth and it tastes so great. And after this news, I may need a couple of shots of Fireball here because it may be a long football season, folks. Fireball whiskey, it goes down so smooth and it tastes so great. I've always told people there is no better way to ignite the weekend and ignite the night than to do it with ice-cold Fireball cinnamon whiskey. That's right. I love Fireball whiskey. Again, it's the best. Fireball whiskey, ignite the night. Please do it responsibly and be 21 years or older to enjoy. That's Fireball cinnamon whiskey.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi, and this is Smashville.
Going to the front of the net, he scores. What a gorgeous move. Roman Yossi.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, every day is a great escape. With 35 miles of white sand, there's no better place to get away. So let's explore the secluded beaches of Fort DeSoto or paddle our way around Honeymoon Island. Let's kick back, kayak, and catch crimson sunsets. Let's trade snow boots for bathing suits. Let's make today and tomorrow a beach day. Let's shine. Plan your escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
For one day only, Saturday, March 25th, get 5+ acres and a new cabin package on sale for only $69.9 during the Nashville Acreage Grand Opening Land Sale. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get the best of both worlds. Flat, usable, prime Nashville acreage with the biggest and most spectacular ridgeline views in the entire Nashville area. Priced below market prices. Come explore this recreational paradise and make your dreams of owning exceptional Nashville acreage a reality for less. With 5+ acres and a new cabin package for just $69.9. Best of all, these properties include first-class infrastructure like county water, electric, and county road frontage. All huge advantages in today's market. Appointment times are filling up fast. Call now to book your private tour. 615-437-6348. That's 615-437-6348. Cabin kit package for materials only. Delivered to site by third party. Taxes and delivery not included. Price is subject to change without notice or obligation. Call for complete details. An equal housing opportunity.
We do screen printing.
Music City Screen Prints.
We do embroidery.
Music City Screen Prints.
We do large format printing.
Music City Screen Prints.
We do promotional goods.
Music City Screen Prints.
We do graphic design.
Music City Screen Prints.
mcscreenprints.com. That's mcscreenprints with an S.com. 615-866-6010.
You think it, we print it.
Hey, it's Joe Rexrode here for FanDuel Sportsbook, folks. This March, take your first shot at college hoops with FanDuel Sportsbook and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets. That's up to $200. That's right. All you got to do is bet $20 on the bracket, and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting everything from money line, point spreads. You know that 5 versus 12 matchup. Oh, man, people love the 12s, right? Now, this is all on an app that's safe, secure, super easy to use, and the ease of use is very important to me, folks. Take it from me. There's no better place to bet the tournament than FanDuel Sportsbook. So sign up today by going to FanDuel.com/Joe102 and make every moment more with FanDuel all tournament long. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you have a gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789.
102.5 and 106.3, The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rexrode 6 to 9.
You are talking about a team that's building a roster.
Chase and Michelle 9 to 11.
He's still under contract.
It's not always X's and O's.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace 11 to 2.
Trades, free agents.
Let's get it going. I think this is a good hire.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
I can give you one of the best coaches in the league.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Nashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
This is Greg McElroy, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Like I said, I firmly and I will always believe that when you look at everything as a whole, the way this roster was constructed, we have a lot of talent on this roster. Now, with that being said, I mean, who knows what's going to happen when a new GM comes in? Is he going to say, hey, let's run it back, or he's going to do what he does? And, we kind of all know, being in this business long enough, what happens when a new GM comes in. So who knows? But I firmly believe in the guys that we've had here. Just wish things could have been a little bit different when it came to the injuries and stuff like that.
There you go. That was Kevin Byard at the end of the season. And that doesn't sound like a guy who a couple months later would be requesting a release. But again, according to my source, Mike Lombardi put it out there first, the former NFL general manager, now on VSiN, and he put it out there on the GM Shuffle that the Titans were asking Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. And I decided to research. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys up front. I did not think that that was true. I did not think that the Titans were asking Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. I like Lombardi. I think Lombardi's, I actually know Lombardi's son a little bit. I had Lombardi on at the Super Bowl. I like Lombardi. But every time we used to reference something that Lombardi would write or an opinion that Lombardi would have, Floyd used to always give us the, okay, Mike, every time. So I figured I'd do some checking, and I'd just see whether or not, this was true that the Titans wanted Kevin Byard to take a pay cut and that Byard could be, on the chopping block. And what I heard back was that Kevin Byard has requested his release because the Titans would not entertain an extension. Now, again, requesting a release does not mean will be released and does not mean that the Titans and Kevin Byard can't get this figured out. It's kind of like I want to get a divorce. That doesn't mean divorced. And there is still, we can still go through the process and we can still salvage the marriage. So I'm just saying that. Now, I try to separate my fandom for the Titans away from reality. I try to be honest. I try to tell you how I feel. I try to tell you what I think. And I'm not one of these people that thinks that my team is completely infallible. In fact, I think the Titans screw up plenty of times. But one thing that I was convinced of, the way last year broke, was everything bad happened to the Titans. Everything. And so if just half the things that were bad last year don't happen to the Titans, they're probably back in the playoffs. They might have a team that can compete. If they draft well this year, they might have a team that can compete. It's not like this team is the Chicago Bears or the Houston Texans. They're not that bad. I thought this team could win next season. But when we start hearing Kevin Byard pay cut, or we start hearing, Kevin Byard wants to be released, or we start hearing Derrick Henry being shopped, and everybody was talking about Tannehill this offseason about, that's too much money for him. I wonder, do they think they can compete? Is that what this is about? Is it Ran Carthon got here and said, man, this team sucks. I can't win with this team. Can't win with this team. We'll put together something that makes it look like we're trying, but deep down inside, we know we can't win. Let's focus on saving up some money so that, in a couple of years we can try to win. And a lot of you people believe that. That's how a lot of you feel. That's how Derek Mason feels. He says it every day. I guess there's a part of me that thought that I was right and everybody else was wrong, and that the Titans would definitely think how I thought. But if they're in this deep with Byard, who knows? 615-737-1025. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com here on the program. Zach texts into the text line and says, define pay cut. Is it a restructure or an extension that lowers his cap hit but gets him paid up front? This is all because of John Robinson restructuring the wrong contracts to make room for other players. Byard is a victim of circumstance, sure, but he needs to be understanding his cap hit is way too high. So I don't want to, spend 4 hours a day telling you all that the cap's not real, because you all know how I feel about this. But I think we have to separate every little detail here just so that we get a full picture of what's going on. So when people say Byard's cap hit is too high, I ask you, relative to what? Is his cap hit so high that the team cannot add any more players? I don't think that's true. I don't think Byard's cap hit, the Denver Broncos started off Monday with $25 million in cap space, which I think the Titans started off Monday with $27 million in cap space. And that didn't stop the Broncos from adding Zach Allen and Mike McGlinchey and Ben Powers and all these big contracts that they signed. So if it's about lowering the cap number, my guess is if the Titans went to Kevin Byard and they said, hey, we want to give you all your money up front this season so that we lower out the cap number, he would have said yes. Pretty much everybody would say yes to that. So I don't think this is it. My guess is they went to Byard and said, hey, you're making $14 million cash. Now I'm not talking about the cap anymore. I'm talking about cash. You're going to make $14 million in cash this season. We'd like to pay you $9 million. We'd like to pay you $8 million. We think at this point you're an $8 million player. We think you're a $9 million player. And I could see Byard thinking to himself, well, Jesse Bates just got 16. So I am not an $8 or $9 million player. I'm a $14 million player. You pay me $14 million or you let me go. And what I was told was the Titans would not entertain an extension. I think Byard looked at it like, if I take this pay cut, I'll do it, but you have to give me guaranteed money next year. You have to give me guaranteed money down the road. And my guess is the Titans said no. And a lot of times, the way this works is we call you in, we ask you to take a pay cut, and if you say no, we release you. And oftentimes I tell people, hey, take the pay cut because the money's probably not out there for you on the market. But the difference between Byard and the Titans is I don't think there's another Byard out there on the market for the Titans. I mean, I just don't think the Titans can get that quality player. I mean, there are other safeties, $11 million guy. He's always hurt. He was hurt all last season. So I have a hard time with that one. Jonathan texts in and says, I don't know. I'm having a hard time continuing to be a fan of the Titans, the way they are treating their players and penny pinching. I can't imagine we're going to see a Super Bowl anytime soon. That's from Jonathan. I mean, I still believe that where you are, like, I think the team's in a good spot. I really do. That's the hard part about this. I think the team's in a good spot. I really do. I really think they're in a good spot. And I wouldn't be releasing Kevin Byard, and I wouldn't be asking Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. I wouldn't be doing that. I mean, I think the defense, the way they are right now, I said this the other day when they signed Arden Key. I said I loved what I was seeing. I said I loved it. And now all this other stuff about they're going to have him take a pay cut. And there's a difference between taking a pay cut and lowering the cap. And I don't think unless you're a player who really is on the verge of getting released and there's not a market for you, I'm not sure that taking a pay cut for a guy who is somewhere at the top of his game, I don't think that that's, in my opinion, a good call. And I do think that we're going to see the Titans, you know, if it's true that they're shopping Derrick Henry, if it's true that Kevin Byard, they asked him to take a pay cut, which I'm told it is, if it's true that Kevin Byard's asking for a release, which I'm told he is, if all of that's true, you know, then where do you go from here? I mean, are you going to be one of those teams that, like Derek says, like Derek, even our morning show, when it comes to Tannehill, thinks about it like this. And they say, you know, well, if you don't think you can compete in the AFC South, and I think that's crazy because you competed in the AFC South last year. I mean, I thought that you were right there. 2 minutes, 50 seconds to go. You had a lead. Josh Dobbs is playing quarterback. All of that stuff. And I'm going to tell you, I thought you were right there. So I think you're competing right now. Jacksonville has to play a first-place schedule. You get to play a second-place schedule. Your team was completely hurt. Your offensive line was terrible. You've already done some things to fix that. I mean, I think the team is 1 or 2 players away. But I guess maybe I'm in the minority on this. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll get right back into your phones here on the program. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
We are your home for every big pass.
Kevin Harvick takes over the race lead.
Big wreck.
Trouble turn 2. One car is around and hard into the outside wall.
And big win.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has won the Daytona 500.
Yeah! Woo!
Catch every lap of NASCAR on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
It's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Sale. Truckloads of new model merchandise from all their factories arriving daily.
Okay.
Spas from Artesia and Catalina and American Select Spas as low as $29.99. All their new patio furniture styles, Hanneman, Tropitone, and Woodard are on sale.
That's interesting.
Family Leisure has factory direct pricing on pools. 24-foot pools starting as low as $29.99 installed.
Grills, smokers, and grill islands are on sale too.
That's right. That's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Sale going on now.
Both locations, Antioch and Franklin.
We pride ourselves on being transparent, opening up the books, and sharing all the secrets of the diamond industry. We have a passion for this, and part of having a passion is sharing that passion.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper says, at Genesis, you don't just get an entry-level course in diamonds, you get a PhD.
We love educating our customers, even over-educating our customers about diamonds and gemstones, so they can truly see the difference in what we offer.
At Genesis, diamonds are not a side business. It's their only business.
We eat, breathe, and sleep diamonds.
So whether you end up buying at Genesis or not, come for the education.
The better educated we can make you at Genesis Diamonds, the better a shopper you're going to be, whether you shop with us or anyone else. You will be able to tell the difference and know what you are buying, so you make the best decision for you.
Genesis Diamonds, proud to offer one of the largest selections of GIA certified diamonds in the nation, with no middleman markups, no retail pricing games, no commission salespeople, and no nonsense. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
The Electronic Express famous half-price fair starts this Sunday. Hurry in and save up to 50% on anything in the store. First come, first serve. The Electronic Express famous half-price fair starts this Sunday at 10 a.m.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
As long as he wants to coach there, he will be able to coach there.
I think that really did save the hope of this team.
Michelle and Junie, presented by Superbook Sports, every Saturday morning at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A lot of things need to be changed. Everybody debates what needs to be done this time of year. Are you still confident you guys are just a couple of pieces away from being where you need to be?
Yeah, that's how I feel personally. Obviously, this is an extraordinarily tough year when it comes to injuries the past 2 years. I mean, at this point, it's always going to be a, woulda, coulda, shoulda. What would it be like if we had our, full health of guys? We didn't have so many guys on IR, but we'll never know. But I'm still confident in that. Who knows what, this team and this roster is going to look like next year, but just leaving this season and just kind of thinking about it in review, just, if we would have had those guys, what would things been like?
There you go. That was Kevin Byard after the season. And I'll tell you, it's funny. A friend of mine has a 7-year-old, and they were getting a Titans jersey for the 7-year-old's birthday. They asked me who they should get. And I was like, well, Tannehill, he might not be here very long. And Henry, who knows, running back. I was like, Byard, Kevin Byard, because he'll be here for a while. And Kevin Byard represents all that's good with the Titans. And he is a great Titan. And I figured he'd be here for a while. So I feel personally like the Titans would be making a huge mistake if they let Kevin Byard go. But I promise your phones. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Dwayne is up next here on the program. Thank you for calling. What's up, Dwayne?
Yeah, I think the Titans, they should go ahead and just get rid of Kevin Byard. And Derrick Henry, we need to get us a quarterback. So they probably should be trying to shop for a trade for a quarterback, maybe Aaron Rodgers or somebody. What do you think about it?
Okay, so I think Rodgers is out of play. He's already made up his mind. He's going to the Jets. Thank you for your call. This is how I feel about all of these guys, this whole group. Simmons is different because he's younger. But Tannehill, Henry, Byard, Autry, like that group, if you get rid of one, you might as well get rid of all of them. If you get rid of Tannehill, you might as well. You got no chance to win next season. And maybe some of you think even with Tannehill and Henry and Autry and Byard, maybe a lot of you think you can't win anyways. That is the stance that I get, that a lot of people think you can't win anyways. So to me, if you get rid of one, you might as well get rid of all of them. I mean, I remember when the Titans got rid of Eddie George. And they brought back a lot of that team that went to the divisional round and lost to the Patriots. And Eddie George wouldn't take a pay cut, and Eddie George got released. And I remember that. And I remember when that happened. And I remember as all of that went down, I remember that team the next year was bad. And they had all the same players except for Eddie George. And they were bad. And so, even though you had Steve McNair, even though you had Steve McNair and Derek Mason and Samari Roll and all those, even though you had those guys, they still weren't good without Eddie George. If you move off of Henry, start over. You move off of Tannehill, start over. You move off of Byard, start over. That's how I feel about it. Michael is up next here on the program. Thank you for calling. Thank you for waiting. What's up, Michael?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. So what I'm just confused about right now is the reports that are coming out about Henry and Byard. They're almost counterintuitive to what the Titans have been doing thus far in the free agency period and releasing the players they've released, picking up the players they have. I just don't really understand what direction they're trying to go towards. It seems like with their actions, they're going one way, but with all the reports coming out, they're going the opposite way.
So I would say this. In free agency, thank you for the call. In free agency, I think the Titans have done a great job. Like, take all the reports out, including my own. Take all of this out. And let's just say that the Titans, I literally today went over it in my head. I think the defense is in a great spot. I think the Titans defense has a chance to be really freaking good this year. Really good. I think this front seven that they've got, especially like the defensive line and the guys who get after the quarterback, I think they have a great defensive line. Simmons and Autry and Key and Landry comes back, and I think Weaver in more of a reserve pass rushing role. I feel like they're going to have a great I think they're going to have a great defensive line this year because Key's going to play, unlike Bud Dupree. So as far as the direction with free agency, I love that. But then the whole shopping Derrick Henry and then the whole Byard thing, what's the point of adding Arden Key if you're getting rid of Derrick Henry? What's the point of having a great defensive line if you don't have Kevin Byard, your ball-hawking safety who plays every game back there, to intercept passes? What's the point? And so I agree, the reporting and the actions don't completely add up. And I'm also curious about this. Why have we not seen the Titans announce their free agent signings yet? That I find fascinating. This is like official minutia, but Andre Dillard signed on Monday, but he hasn't actually signed with the team. Why not? Arden Key hasn't officially signed with the team. The only thing the team's done this week is they re-signed Nick Westbrook at Keeney, and they tendered the guys they had to tender at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, and that's it. But there haven't been any official movement. And other teams are officially signing their guys, and that I don't know why. Let's go to John, who's up next here on the program. Thank you for calling. What's up, John?
Hey, what's going on, man? Of course, always thanks for taking the call. I want to get right to it. I can't get these fair-weather fans who don't remember the days of Cody Sensabaugh being your starting corner. We're going 2-13, losing to the Jets. Just being god-awful. And the fact that if you get rid of Kevin Byard, who plays every game for you, and is a locker room presence, every time they put out like a hype video, Kevin Byard's in it multiple times. You get rid of him, and you are going to be very bad because he does more than just play safety. He makes defensive adjustments. He makes calls. You shop there and we're going to be awful. And I just don't get how these fair weather fans are calling in saying, yeah, we should get rid of Diet. We should shop here. Like, the window is now. And if you're trying to win, you don't make these moves. And that's all I got, Jared. Have a good one, brother.
Yep, thank you for your call. Boy, I tell you, those days of Cody Sensabaugh and Bleedy Ray Wilson, those were tough. Those were tough days. And I heard Derek talking about that this morning. D. Mace was talking about the idea that, this was when they were talking about whether or not Byard was going to take a pay cut. And D. Mace was talking about how it's all about building a team for the new stadium. And that's what this is about, right? Like, hey, clear the deck, lower the money, save up, and have the team ready for the Super Bowl when you move into the new stadium. But I don't really think that that's possible. Like, I think it sounds good to say, hey, we're going to start from scratch and we'll be good in 2026. But I don't really think it's feasible because what team right now is thinking about 2026 in any sport? Every general manager and every coach, it's 2023. Every general manager and every coach, if they lose, except for maybe Belichick, will be fired between now and then. You can do it, I guess, if you're one of these teams that just freaking sucks in baseball and say, hey, it's going to be 4 or 5 lean years. You can do it. But even look at those baseball teams. The managers of those teams, even when you're not going to win, the Rockies still fire their manager from time to time. Even though they've got the cheapest owner in baseball, they'll still fire the manager. Well, GMs and coaches don't want to sign up for that. And again, I never pushed back on this. When I was begging the Predators to rebuild, I never pushed back on the idea that it may be 2 years, it may be 3 years, it may be 10 years until you're good. It may be a long time. But reality is, for me, you cannot plan to say, okay, we're going to be good when we move into the new stadium. And I agree, if you want to cut Kevin Byard and you want to stick Johnny Joe back there, you're going to be in trouble. And I hope they realize that. Again, this is not, in my opinion, going to Jarrell Casey a year early and say, hey, we don't want to pay you the money, so we're going to release you or we're going to trade you, and then trading him to Denver for a 7th in case he gets hurt and that's it. Maybe, I don't think it's that. I think you've got a core that even with all the mistakes your team made this season, firing your general manager the week of the Jacksonville game, trading away A.J. Brown, horrible offensive line coach, horrible offensive coordinator, taking Derrick Henry off the field 3rd and 2 against the Giants, all the bad things that you did. 3rd-string quarterback on the road with the division on the line on national TV, and you were right there. And I still feel like you're right there. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. More of your phones. Now, this is what I would do if I'm in this situation right now, if I'm the Titans. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, live from the Rusty Nail out here in Hermitage. You can come on out, watch the NCAA tournament. We got it, the NCAA tournament on all the TVs. They've got all their great specials here as well, celebrating what is going to be an epic St. Patrick's Day. It is the Rusty Nail out here in Hermitage. Stillman and Company, Fireball Hot Take Friday, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
Blown out in one game against a team that's just flat out better than you.
And your source for Nashville sports.
How many needs are you going to create for yourself this offseason?
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hi, this is Chef Mark again from Bob's Steak and Chop House at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Looking for the next place to hold a business dinner or just a private room for you and your guests to enjoy? Then look no further than Bob's. We believe in top quality food and service without all the distractions. So join us and experience why we've been voted Diner's Choice on Open Table for 6 years running.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Your Game Center update.
This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Nick Keyser. The Nashville Predators still remain 4 points outside a final wild card spot after losing 2-1 to the Chicago Blackhawks last night. Chicago was previously 0-13-3 versus the Predators before winning last night. Head coach John Hines on his team's performance.
We've had much more energy and spark to our game, and tonight we thought guys were working, but we just didn't have it, and some of that comes down to the execution on the chances. And I think it's important that, they got to understand, even in this league, you can't get too low, as there's another one coming at 1 o'clock on Saturdays.
And the Tennessee Vols took down the Louisiana Raging Cajuns 58-55 last night in the first round of the NCAA tournament, while Penn State upset Texas A&M 76-59, while the 12-seeded Princeton Tigers beat Arizona 59-55. The action continues today, and second round action beginning tomorrow at 11:10 a.m. And the Vanderbilt Commodores will take on Michigan in the second round of the NIT tournament. The broadcast will begin at 10:30 a.m. on 93.3 Classic Hits. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit theGameNashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
A gutty performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live, thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Today, we are live at the Rusty Nail out here in Hermitage. I'm actually going to tell you something. I did not know about the Rusty Nail until we came here today. This, because I'm a Percy Priest Lake kind of guy, this is going to be like the pre- and post-boat spot this summer. This place is awesome. Out here at the Rusty Nail. Come on by and enjoy St. Patty's Day with a $3 2-lane beer drafts while taking in the opening round of the tournament. That's right, we got basketball on. During their St. Patrick's Day celebration, the Rusty Nail is located in Hermitage and provides a great local atmosphere with a large outdoor patio, volleyball courts, and more, plus great drinks and great food, especially the wings. Call now to reserve your private events and corporate parties. So, Fireball Hot Take Friday. My hot take today, Mike Lombardi on the GM Shuffle, former NFL general manager. And I like Lombardi. Lombardi came out and said that the Titans were trying to get Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. Now, the way this normally works in the NFL is if you take a pay cut, then you'll stay on the team. If you don't take a pay cut, chances are you're probably not going to stick on the team. Now, I didn't know if that was true or not. I don't know who Lombardi's sources within the Titans are or aren't, so I did some digging myself, and the same guy who told me John Robinson was getting fired about 20 minutes before it was announced that John Robinson was getting fired told me that Kevin Byard has requested a release from the team. Now, just because, again, according to my source, he requested a release from the team does not mean he's going to be released. If anything, I really think it calls the Titans bluff. It really says, fine, I'm not taking a pay cut, And if I do take a pay cut, I want more guaranteed money next year. And if the Titans say we're not going to do that, my source said the reason why Byard wanted his release is because the team would not engage in talking about an extension. My thing is, maybe Byard's just calling the team on their bluff. Are they really going to release Kevin Byard for nothing to save $6 million against the fake cap? I can't buy that. And I don't buy that. Now, let me just say this. If I was running the Titans, and it's always easy to say if I was in charge or if I was, and I understand that. But if I was running the Titans and I had somebody tell me, hey, we're going to release Kevin Byard, I need an explanation. I almost feel like as a Titans fan, and I am somebody who has stuck with this team through thick and through thin. I love the Titans. And at the same time, I kind of hate the Titans for some of the crazy things that they do. And some of the ways they make me feel, going back to the 5th grade. But if you're going to release Kevin Byard, I need an explanation. And it is not about his cap hit, because the cap is fake. There is no way that you're releasing Kevin Byard because of his cap hit when you're under the cap. And besides, how many guys under the cap? You would save $6 million on the cap if you released him. Now, it's different if you wait until June 1st, but that wouldn't make any sense either because you're just pushing that money into next year. So the only reason it would make sense for them to release Kevin Byard would be to save the $14 million in cash for this year. But with that $6 million of cap space, how many players are you really going to be able to get? And how many players with that extra $6 million are you going to get that are better than Kevin Byard, that are more impactful than Kevin Byard, that would mean more to your team than Kevin Byard? And I can't come up with any. You know, Jesse Bates just signed for $16 million a season. And normally the amount of money somebody signs for a season doesn't really matter because it's, you know, always made to look better than it really is, and there's more fake money sometimes than there is real money. But it does matter here because Byard's salary at $14 million, that's what this is about. That's why reportedly they asked him to take a pay cut. And good for Byard to look at the Titans and say, no. Good for Byard. And it's funny because I've been reading some of your texts throughout the show, and I think a lot of you are on Byard's side. And to be honest with you, I kind of am too. Again, if you release Kevin Byard, I need an explanation. I didn't need an explanation when you released Taylor Lewan. Taylor Lewan said you were going to release him. I didn't need an explanation when you released Robert Woods. I got it. He was making $16 million. He was probably a $7 million player. And you can go get a Robert Woods or somebody comparable for less money on the market. Fine. When you got rid of Randy Bullock, made total sense to me. And the reason why it made total sense to me was because can't kick a 50-yard kick. I got that. But if you are going to release Kevin Byard, or if you are going to trade Kevin Byard, or you're going to move on from Kevin Byard, I need an explanation. Especially when I'm looking at the defense I think I'm looking at next season. I love this defense they have right now for next season. I love this pass rush. With Arden Key in there, with Harold Landry returning, I love what I'm looking at for next season. And you're going to take Kevin Byard out of it? And you're going to leave me with one safety? It's Amani Hooker, who got hurt all last year? So, like I said, all I know is what I've been told. And all I've been told is that they did in fact ask Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. And that Kevin Byard, again, the one thing I have a hard time understanding is why Byard would ask for an extension when he's got 2 years left on his deal. But I'm wondering if the word extension just meant Byard wanted more guaranteed money into next season. And you want me to take less money, you got to give me something. You got to have some leverage. And the leverage the team normally has is, well, we'll release you. So you're scheduled to make $14 million. We want you to make $9 million. We want you to make $10 million. And if not, we'll release you. And good luck to see if you can go get that $9, $10 million on the market. And very rarely is the player actually worth what that guy would make. But I think Byard would actually get real money on the market. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But I think Byard would actually get real money on the market. So I think Byard has leverage to tell the Titans, fine, tell your fans that you released me because of my cap hit. Nobody will believe it. But tell everybody you released me because of the cap hit. We'll see. We'll see what happens. 615-737-1025. Philip has been waiting patiently. He's up next. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Philip, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Jared? So this is my issue with this all, and it's been very frustrating with the Henry talk and now the Byard talk, and then the Stillman not getting paid yet. Like, first of all, who are we paying? We're not
Good
paying
question.
really anybody on the team. The next issue is I could see if Byard and Henry and they were on the decline, but they're still living. In my opinion, they're still living up to their contracts. They haven't showed a decline at all in their talent. Now, Henry might look a step slower, but he hadn't showed a big decline like Eddie George showed a decline. So I don't see the point of that. Now, if they were showing the decline, I can see that. And then on top of that, if we had somebody to replace them, we already got holes. But if we let these players go, if you had a younger guy behind them, I could see the issue like with Casey. We had Simmons coming behind him. Okay, I understood that. Sure. But if we let Byard go, who's replacing? That just builds another hole that we got to plug somebody into. If we let Henry go, that builds another hole. So I don't understand that aspect of it if these reports are true. I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Philip, that was a wonderful call. And normally, somebody's got, 3 or 4 points. Their first point's usually pretty good. And then when they get to point 3, it's not as good as point 1. And I wish they'd go back to the points he made. Who are the Titans paying? But Tannehill's making $27 million in cash this year. That's it. Geno Smith is making more money in cash, I believe, this season. Derek Carr, who is not as good as Tannehill. We crunched the numbers. He's not as good as Tannehill. Derek Carr is making more money in cash than Tannehill. So you're not really paying the quarterback. The cap number might be higher than average, but you're not paying him a boatload. You're not paying him all that kind of money. Lamar Jackson on this quote-unquote disrespectful franchise tag is making more money than Tannehill. Daniel Jones is getting way more money than Tannehill. So you're paying Henry $10 million. Jesse Bates makes $16 million now in Atlanta. Jonnu Smith makes somewhere around 11 or 13 or 14 million, whatever it may be. You're telling me those guys are worth more money than Derrick Henry? You know that's not true. So who are you paying? You paying your left tackle? No. Don't have a left guard. You're not paying your center. You're not paying your right guard. You let him walk in free agency. You're not paying your right tackle. He's a rookie. You're paying Landry. You're paying Byard. That's it. I mean, you're not paying your punter because he's a rookie. You're not paying. I agree with the first point. Who you paying? Like this, we got to save money. For who? Like that? I agree with. Byard and Henry living up to the contracts. I agree with. And I agree with the final point he made, too. That was an excellent call. And I agree with the final point that if you had somebody to replace them, then I'd understand it a little bit better at least. I understood when they moved off of DeMarco Murray because they had Derrick Henry. Like, I got that. But if your option is Amani Hooker and then re-signing Andrew Adams, and that's what you're going to do to make up for Kevin Byard, what? No. So, I don't know. All I can tell you is what I've been told. 615-737-1025 on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Corey Curtis, News 2, his reaction to what we're hearing about Kevin Byard. We'll do that coming up next. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. This March, take your first shot at college hoops with FanDuel Sportsbook and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets. That's right, up to $200. Just bet $20 on the bracket and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting everything from the money line to point spreads to the 5 versus 12 matchups today. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. There's no better place to bet the tournament than FanDuel Sportsbook. Hey, how about Duke Remember, Joe came on here and said, oh, Oral Roberts might beat Duke. Uh-huh. Duke crushed him. Now, I've been telling you about Duke for the last week. I'm a Duke believer. Sign up today by going to FanDuel.com/JGM and make every moment more with FanDuel during the tournament. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager. Only $10 deposit required. Refund issue is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
185! Every team needs a quarterback.
185!
That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown.
Tim.
You can run good plays at the right time.
ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
You evaluate players, and then you're turning them over to the coaching staff.
Every Tuesday at noon.
At the right time.
With Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Tim on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willie Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. Use that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
It's that time of year, the insanity, the madness, the tournament. Your friends showing up at your house to watch the games and eat all your food. You want to be a good host, but you don't want total chaos, and Central Barbecue has the solution. Bulk order some slow-smoked barbecue and pick it up right before tip-off. Stop by either Nashville location or place an order at eatcbq.com. Come by the Hillsboro location between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. March 23rd to see a live broadcast with 102.5 The Game. There will be giveaways and more. Whatever your plans are for this madness, you'll be taken care of at Central Barbecue.
Our diamonds are direct from the source, direct from the cutters. There's no middlemen, there's no markup.
Meet Ben Wilkes, 10-year jewelry professional at Genesis Diamonds.
We've got everything from half a carat all the way up to 15 carats and everything in between. So I never have to go looking for something.
And if you're in search of that one-of-a-kind designer ring,
lots of times they come in and she's got a very specific picture, something that she wants, and she's shocked and amazed when I go right to a case and pull exactly what she's been looking at out.
And beyond the best price and selection, every customer at Genesis gets one-on-one personal attention with no hidden agenda.
Every customer that I've ever worked with has my personal cell phone number. It doesn't come from an automated system. It is person-to-person interaction. We're not on commission, so what that means is regardless of what you buy or don't buy, I'm paid the same.
Genesis Diamonds.
Here you get more, you get bigger, better, you get prettier. The quality, the selection, transparency, customer service, it can't be touched. It's unmatched.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And Jesse Bates is a good player, but to me, I think when, Byard, the kid at Tennessee, right? Kevin Byard, he's really a good player. They're trying to get him to take a pay cut. So would I sign Bates? If he doesn't take a pay cut, they're going to cut him. So if I sign Bates, do I go after? I would rather have Byard than Bates. I think he's really a good player. So you got to kind of play that around a little bit. You got to wait.
Oh, Kevin Byard. Wow, that's an interesting one because he's a former All-Pro. He's a heck of a player.
He's a really good player, but they're trying to get him to take a pay cut. He doesn't want to do it. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. Who's, are they bluffing? Are they not bluffing? I mean, they got cap issues. I mean, that team's in a mess.
There you go. That was Mike Lombardi on the GM Shuffle, and I followed up. I went in. I said, okay, is this true or not? Because, again, Lombardi's got sources, but I don't know what his sources with the Titans are. So I wanted to see whether or not Lombardi was, I talked to my sources. They told me Kevin Byard has requested a release from the team. And I'm just, as I said, if I'm running the team, that is not on the table. Make of that what you will. And requesting a release does not mean will be released. At least not yet. Corey Curtis joins us, News 2. As always, we are live at the Rusty Nail here in Hermitage celebrating the second day of the tournament. Corey, let's start with that. The idea that the Titans, it was originally Derrick Henry shopping him last week. This week it's Byard and the Titans. What do you make of it?
Well, I know there's a lot of people who've said that Derrick Henry's the best player on the team, but there's only one guy on the team who's been an All-Pro 2 times. And then what else does Mike Vrabel stress about Kevin Byard when the season is over? He never misses a game. I don't think he's missed a game in 7 years. I mean, the guy has value because he's an outstanding player, and he's there every week. He's outstanding in the community. He's outstanding in the locker room. He's outstanding in every area. You can say he's a safety. How many games is he good for? I can go back last year to the Dallas game. He's the only reason you're in the game. Go back to the Rams game 2 years ago. He wins that game. The game in Indianapolis, he wins that game. I mean, that's a guy who makes plays to win games for this team. He bona fide makes this team better. And I understand you're in a cap situation, even though I know you say the cap doesn't matter. But I would go elsewhere for money before I ask that guy to take a pay cut, because he's done everything to earn every dime you have given him.
I said this to Caroline when I said that I was told that Byard's requested his release. This is what I think happened, Corey. I think the Titans went to Byard and said, we'd like you to take a pay cut. And Byard said, well, if I'm going to take a pay cut, you got to guarantee me some money next year. They said no, and he said, well, then release me. Almost calling them on the bluff. Screw you if you're going to try. I think if that's what happened, Corey, I'm on Kevin Byard's side.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, like I said, you could very well argue the best player on the team. He has done everything you ever asked for him as a player. Now, you've got a lot of money sunk into the safety position because you paid Amani Hooker. But that's not Kevin Byard's fault. That was the previous GM who did that. And, you can't ask Byard to fix all of your problems. And look, I know there's no loyalty, with the way things are done. Mike Vrabel got traded to the Chiefs, so he knows. He's been through it. But again, there are other areas where I think you could go get money rather than really dumping on a guy who's arguably your best player of the last decade and could be on your Titans Mount Rushmore.
Corey Curtis is our guest. One thing that I believe in my heart, I cannot imagine Mike Vrabel would be okay with releasing Kevin Byard. What do you think?
Yeah, like I said, he's there every week. He's prepared. He prepares mentally. He prepares physically. I don't know how releasing him makes you better. I really don't. They've already said goodbye to A.J. Brown and some other, guys who are good players. I can't imagine, just like people have said with Derrick Henry, I can't imagine releasing this one. And I can't imagine Mike Vrabel being okay with it either. But, again, he's been through it. Maybe, they've got a but maybe I'm too emotionally connected to Kevin Byard because, coming from middle and, the whole thing with him not going to the combine and seeing what a great player he's been. And, it's kind of unfathomable to me. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Corey Curtis is our guest from News 2. What do you think ends up happening? Do you think Byard ends up taking a pay cut? Do you think Byard ends up getting released? Do you think Byard ends up getting traded? I mean, what if you had to say today what you think ends up happening, what do you think will happen?
Well, I asked Kevin in the locker room during locker cleanout day, was it important for him to finish his career here? He said, he went in depth at how important it was for him to finish a Tennessee Titan. So for him to, if he did ask for his release, he's got to be really upset. Really upset. So I think cooler heads need to prevail, and they've got to find a way to figure things out. they haven't made any cuts yet that are shockers. They've all been moves we've kind of expected to see. So this would qualify to me as a shocker, because you're cutting away a guy who still has probably 3 more really good years in him and who's there for you every week. I would think you would try to find a way, if you want him to be a part of your football team, to let cooler heads prevail and work something out.
So I'm not one of these people who believes in the salary cap, but I do understand, kind of the premise of it, right? I don't think the Titans are in as bad a cap problems as everybody makes them out to be. I mean, I really don't. You play the year with Henry, you play the year with Tannehill, you play the year with Byard, and then after this year, you essentially have a clean slate, in terms of dead money and everything else. I mean, I don't get, it's not the Titans are $40 million over the cap right now. I mean, they're fine.
Well, I mean, they've got money pushed down the road too. I mean, part of Tannehill's deal pushes money down the road. I think
so does Henry, so does Byard.
Yeah, so they've all got money pushed down the road. And the question is, how much of that do you want to push down the road? I'm not a fan of these automatically voiding years. It's like the whole Bobby Bonilla deal to me. I think it's bad for football. I think you need to run your business the way you run your business, and that's not inventing years to dump money in my estimation. So I think that can be a problem, as you look to what you have to do. But you also have to look and say, what players do you need to extend? And right now they need to extend Jeffrey Simmons. They may end up wanting to extend a guy like Tier Tart down the road. But after that, how many other guys are you looking at saying, yeah, this guy's going to be a big money player in 2 or 3 years? You could, question Traylon. You can question Christian Fulton. You can question, Roger McCreary, Chigakonko. You can say, well, these guys might. None of those guys are like, yeah, that guy's, going to get a big second deal at this point. So they're not overloaded with guys that are going to demand huge second contracts, at least at this point in the next year or two.
Corey, what do you make of what they've done in free agency so far? We had a caller in the last segment, I thought hit it on the head, that was talking about how, what we're hearing about shopping Henry and asking Byard to take a pay cut and everything else. What we're hearing is going in one direction, and what they did in free agency feels like they're going in another direction. And I agree with that. I like what they've done in free agency. What do you think about it?
Well, I like that I don't think they've spent a lot of bad money. They haven't gone out and just given ridiculous bad contracts to marginal players because they had to. They've filled some needs. They've gotten some players that obviously the new GM knows, and I think that can help them as well. They've clearly got a plan for replacing some people. Obviously they've got a few more, but look, I know David Long was a good player, but David Long missed a lot of games. Mm-hmm. And it's tough. It's tough to count on guys, as Mike Vrabel called them, that are repeat offenders, and you're constantly having to call up guys to replace them. And they appear to be moving on from a number of those guys. So I think it's been calculated, it's been planned, and I think it's been responsible. I think that would be the best way for me to put it.
Fireball Hot Take Friday. Corey Curtis, News 2 with us. What is your hot take?
Well, my hot take last week was that Vanderbilt was going to beat Kentucky and make the tournament. I have no sense of what you have to do to make the tournament anymore. None. And I know we go through this stuff every year, but, how you play at the end should be important. And there's no way they weren't one of the 68 best teams in the country when the season ended. And I feel bad for a team that gave everything that it had, even after Liam Robbins went down. I really do. There's not often I feel sorry for Vanderbilt, because I think most of Vanderbilt's problems are self-created. I feel sorry for those kids because they deserve a spot in the field of 68. And I really feel bad for them. I really do.
Well said, Corey Curtis. And you know me, I hammer Vanderbilt all the time.
They deserve it so much, but not this time. They deserve our pity.
This team, in my opinion, this Vanderbilt team belonged in the NCAA tournament. And when I watch these other teams play in this tournament, I mean, Vandy would kill some of these teams.
It's shocking to me that you looked at what they did the last 2 months of the season and said, yeah, we're not going to include them. They did lose to Grambling early in the year. And I know they did, and there's no way around it. But you have to look at some point and say, are they one of the best in the country at this point in the top 68? And there's no doubt that they are. And I know there's only so many at large compared to automatics. I'm not total moron, just partially. But it just – I'm sure I could find 5 teams and say put them in ahead of that.
Mm-hmm. Corey Curtis, News 2, as always, joining us on the program. Corey, great stuff as always. Appreciate your time. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, man.
Corey Curtis joining us on the program. 615-737-1025. We'll get back into your phones on this. We'll reset the news of the day. We are live from the Rusty Nail out here in Hermitage, hanging out, watching the tournament. Everything else, Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
I think it's a really good move. TD, it's never the offseason for ESPN's Teron Davenport.
I mean, that's something you obviously have to look at.
He's always talking about what's next for the Tennessee Titans.
Quarterback is a really important thing that they have to get determined.
Check out TD, Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, and Friday mornings at 8:30. Plus, the Talkin' with TD podcast.
Looking forward to that.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
It's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Sale. Truckloads of new model merchandise from all their factories arriving daily.
Okay.
Spas from Artesia and Catalina and American Select Spas as low as $29.99. All their new patio furniture styles, Hannah Mint, Tropitone, and Woodard are on sale.
That's interesting.
Family Leisure has factory direct pricing on pools. 24-foot pools starting as low as $29.99 installed.
Grills, smokers, and grill islands are on sale too.
That's right. That's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Sale. Going on now.
Both locations, Antioch and Franklin.
Gary Ashton here. People walk up to me all the time and say, don't sell without the intel. This message couldn't be more true. Right now is a fantastic time to buy or sell your home in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. No one has more intel than the Gary Ashton team. So what is this intel we keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without stagings or showings? Intel on where to find your next home so that you can sell your current home while the market is hot? An intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity. For more intel, visit GaryAshton.com, where we can give you the insight and the most up-to-date real estate intel in Nashville. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate team of the Nashville Predators. Get the confidence to sell your home and find the dream address without the stress. Visit us today at GaryAshton.com. That's GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Hoop fans looking for some fun action this Thursday and Friday's tournament games? Head over to Brewhouse South in Cool Springs. Superbook Sports will be there with awesome merch to give out and fun betting options. Brewhouse South and Superbook for round 1 hoops action.
I'd rather ride a bike with my kids than ride in an ambulance.
I'd rather have a catch with my dog Curtis than catch pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with certain chronic conditions like heart disease, asthma, or diabetes, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Learn more at Prevnar20.com. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
When you want live and local,
if they were just better at the offensive line,
you can be a contender in the AFC again.
They've had more winning seasons than not. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game has you covered. Looking for some national programming?
Why do I want to get a running back like that 5 more years?
The AFC now is so deep at quarterback.
Check out 94.9 The Fan. Nashville's home for all things sports is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
Hey Nashville, this is Mookie Betts. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Like I said, I firmly and I will always believe that
when you look at everything as a whole, the way this roster was constructed, we have a lot of talent on this roster. Now, with that being said, I mean, who knows what's going to happen when a new GM comes in? Is he going to say, hey, let's run it back, or he's going to, do what he does? And, we kind of all know, being in this business long enough, what happens when a new GM comes in. So who knows? But I firmly believe in the guys that we've had here. Just wish things could have been a little bit different when it came to the injuries and stuff like that.
There you go. That was Kevin Byard. We are live from the Rusty Nail out here in Hermitage. That was Kevin Byard. I agree with him. I think if they hadn't had the injuries, I think if they didn't fire John Robinson the week of the Jacksonville game, I think the Tennessee Titans would have made the playoffs. Now, I know a lot of people don't believe that, and I know a lot of people also think, well, so what if they had made the playoffs, Jared? What would they have done? And I understand, and you're entitled to that opinion. But I agree with Kevin Byard there. LD from McMinnville texts in and says, what do you mean? Vrabel wouldn't be okay with cutting Kevin Byard. Aren't they collaborating? And I do believe this. Mike Vrabel, in my opinion, would not be okay with the Titans releasing Kevin Byard. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Mike Vrabel is not signing up to lose. That's just not who he is. What I know of Mike Vrabel, what's wired in his brain, the idea of, hey, we're not going to be able to go all in free agency, I think he can live with. What I don't think he can live with is, hey, we're purposely going to make our roster worse this year, and we're purposely not going to compete this year because we'd like to be better in future years. Not when his team is as good as they were at points of last season. I firmly believe that. I just don't think that Mike Vrabel could ever, as a lot of you people put it, I don't think Mike Vrabel could ever tank. And you are not a better team. I think we can all agree. Now, whether or not Byard's worth $14 million, and I think he probably is, but just is, that's a different discussion. But you are a worse team today if you release Kevin Byard. You are a worse team. And I don't think Mike Vrabel's signing up for that. And if anything, I think Mike Vrabel's looking at it like, you did this to me last year. I told you don't trade A.J. Brown. You traded A.J. Brown, and I was a worse team because of it. Now you're going to trade off Kevin Byard? Now you're going to release Kevin Byard? I don't think so. I think, if anything, this idea that Byard requested, guaranteed money for next year and wants the Titans to, hey, I'll take a pay cut, and I don't know that Byard would take a pay cut. That I don't know. What I do know is I do know that Kevin Byard was asked to take a pay cut, what I was told. Byard was asked to take a pay cut, and then after Byard was asked to take a pay cut, he approached the Titans about an extension, and the Titans weren't interested in talking about it. And the definition of extension, that may be different things to different people. My guess is, and I think this is just common sense, Byard wants guaranteed money for next year. If I'm going to take a pay cut, I want guaranteed money for next year. I'm not just going to take a pay cut and then you release me after this 1 year. Especially when I think I can still play. Especially when I think I still have some gas in the tank. Now, if you release me after free agency when all the money's spent, I'm not going to be able to make a lot of money. If you keep me on the team this year and we're not any good and I get released after this year, nobody's going to want me. I think I still have some gas in the tank. So that I understand. Texter asks, do I think the Titans are gearing up money for Lamar Jackson? No. I mean, we're sitting here talking about the idea that the Titans are shopping Derrick Henry to save money, that they're not spending any money in free agency. We still don't know how much real money they're actually giving Andre Dillard. That deal was signed on Monday, and we don't know how much real money they're giving Andre Dillard. We don't know how much real money they're giving Azeez Al-Shire. We don't know any of that. And you're going to ask me if the Titans are going to go out there and spend the money on Lamar Jackson. No shot. There are very few things in my life that I would be more surprised of than the Titans signing Lamar Jackson and giving up 2 first-round picks, including the 11th overall pick in the draft, in order to sign Lamar Jackson. No. Texter says, to me, it's one of two things. Either the Titans are borderline incompetent or they are in a full rebuild and they just don't want to call it that. Shopping Henry, won't pay Simmons, cutting the pay of Byard, no real significant activity in free agents so far. Am I missing something? And I think the one thing you're missing is that I do believe that the moves they've made in free agency are good moves. I mean, I don't think the Titans are pushing all their chips into the middle for this season. I don't think they're, quote-unquote, going for it. But if you were to take out all the gossip, and that includes the gossip from me, if you were to take all of that out and you were to say, okay, here are the moves the Titans have made. Bud Dupree, very rarely healthy. Bud Dupree out. Arden Key, 17 games each of the last 2 seasons, in. I'd say that's a good move. If you were to say Taylor Lewan, bad knee, expensive, out, Andre Dillard for pass protection, in. I'd say that's a good move. Now, I think they gave T.R. Tart too much money, and I wouldn't start him at center. But Danny Brunskill, starting guard, good. I think it's a good move. David Long said, hey, we don't trust this hamstring. This hamstring's been hurt more than once. We don't trust it. We're not going to put our faith in David Long's hamstring, so we're going to sign Azeez Al-Shaair. Fine. I'm okay with it. I don't think those are bad moves. Now, again, the Derrick Henry thing, that was a report. Now, I think it's true, but that was a report. And I think there's a little bit difference between a report and what the Titans are, quote unquote, doing. And so for me, I would say that, when you say, okay, they're incompetent, that the moves they're making or reportedly have made, those moves are not incompetent. The idea of shopping Henry and thinking that wouldn't get out, that, as I said last week, I thought that was a rookie mistake. And this Byard thing, I think this is a showdown. When I was told Byard is requesting a release, I don't know if Byard truly wants to be released by the Titans. But I think it's kind of, you want to cut my salary? Okay, well, let's go. And for that, if Byard's willing to go toe-to-toe with the team, I'm on Byard's side here. I think it would be fascinating to see what comes of that. 615-737-1025. Somebody texts into the text line and says Andre Dillard's deal is supposedly $29 million. Right, that's the fake money. This is football. There is a difference between real money and fake money. The other sports, you sign a $28 million contract in baseball, you're making $28 million. You sign a $50 million a year deal in the NBA, you're making $50 million a year. Football, you sign a $25 million a year contract, and you end up making $13 million for the life of the contract, and it's not real. And it's never going to go back. That's the fight Lamar Jackson is fighting right now, is to get it back in that regard. Texter into the text line says, Jared, is it my opinion, or is this whole situation about Kevin Byard just truly a desperate attempt to try to re-sign Jeffrey Simmons? Derek said that to me when he was walking out today. I said to D. Mace before I went on the air, when he went off the air, I said to D. Mace, I go, what I've been told by the same person who told me John Robinson was getting fired 20 minutes before it was reported, what I was told was Kevin Byard's asked for a release from the team. And Derek said to me, he wasn't surprised by it, but Derek said to me, he goes, well, it's probably about the money for Simmons. But I struggle with that because when we talk about these bargain basement free agent contracts that the Titans are signing people to, and I'm for it, again, I don't think that there's anybody in free agency that is going to directly alter the course of this franchise. But when I see these bargain basement deals, I factor in for the fact that they're probably going to spend $25 million plus in cash this year for Jeffrey Simmons. But that still doesn't take them to anywhere near where they were in terms of cash spent last season. Right now, according to Spot Track, and again, it's early in the game on this because the Titans haven't either done the physicals or officially signed the contracts with Andre Dillard and Azeez Al-Shaair and Danny Brunskill and all those guys. But again, I can't imagine the Titans are paying those guys a lot of money. Right now, according to Spot Track, the Titans are 32nd in the league in cash spent for next season. That's with Byard at $14 million. That's with Henry at $10.5 million. That's with Tannehill at $27 million in cash. So to me, that's a little different. Just a little different for me. That, hey, wait a minute, where's all the money being spent? That is tough on me. Texter into the text line says, in regards to Kevin Byard, Andrew says, I would much rather not have Henry than Byard. You know, people were doing this last week. I think, Titans and Truth, Chris called in. And he said, if I have to pick between Simmons and Henry, and I stopped them. I said, what do you mean you have to pick between? Who says you have to pick between Henry and Simmons? When did it become that way? This time last year, we were being told they were going to sign A.J. Brown to a contract. And we weren't just told it once. We were told almost every week they were going to sign A.J. Brown to a contract, including me asking the Titans the week before the draft if there was any chance they would trade A.J., and John Robinson said to me, I don't foresee it. So they must have budgeted out a contract for A.J. Brown. So they didn't pay A.J. Brown that money, and it's not like they signed any massive $100 million deals between now and then. So if you've got that money that you had lined up in your back pocket to give A.J. Brown, and you didn't give it to A.J. Brown, and now you can't pay everybody, that doesn't make any sense. What changed between then and now? And that I can't follow. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. One quick breather on the Byard news today. Coming up next, basketball and everybody's brackets. And everybody talking about their brackets. We went over this yesterday, but apparently not everybody's getting the message. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
They can be a fully formed model of what they're going to be offensively moving forward.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
You don't know what's going to happen with the roster or the team.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
This is a good lesson about sports and what we think and what actually happens.
Chad Withrow on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like the adventurous new RAV4. The best-selling SUV in America is the right size vehicle for you. Now through April 4th, you can get low 3.99 APR financing on a new 23 RAV4. With approved credit through TFS, excludes hybrids, and every new Toyota comes with 2 years no-cost maintenance included. Get complete details at buyatoyota.com. Ready, set, go get your Toyota today. Toyota, let's go places.
It's Quaz with Little Harpeth, and I'm just having one of our Chicken Scratch American Pilsners. It's one refreshing beer and a good example of the German lagers that we craft right here in Nashville. Chicken Scratch is made with locally sourced raw white corn, giving it a subtle cornbready sweetness. And speaking of sweetness, Chicken Scratch's closest associate goes by the name of Deer Crossing Hellas, also a lager with a light, crisp body and golden color, and it won us a gold medal at the Great American Beer Festival. So be on the lookout for our craft lagers. And as always, thank you for supporting our little brewery.
For one day only, Saturday, March 25th, get 5+ acres and a new cabin package on sale for only $69.9 during the Nashville Acreage Grand Opening Land Sale. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get the best of both worlds. Flat, usable, prime Nashville acreage with the biggest and most spectacular ridgeline views in the entire Nashville area. Priced below market prices. Come explore this recreational paradise and make your dreams of owning exceptional Nashville acreage a reality for less. With 5+ acres and a new cabin package for just $69.9. Best of all, these properties include first-class infrastructure like county water, electric, and county road frontage. All huge advantages in today's market. Appointment times are filling up fast. Call now to book your private tour. 615-437-6348. That's 615-437-6348. Cabin kit package for materials only. Delivered to site by third party. Taxes and delivery not included. Price is subject to change without notice or obligation. Call for complete details. An equal housing opportunity.
There insightful.
To me, you got a left guard situation you got to figure out.
Credible.
I trust this guy more than this guy.
But sometimes they just argue.
Why do you like the NFL playoffs? Those teams lose
I don't want college football to be the NFL.
When they get...
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad are Robbie and Rexroad. Weekdays from 6 to 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
David in Arkansas says, don't talk about your brackets per Jared Stillman. No one cares about your bracket, he says. I think he's wrong, though. I would argue that this week, talking about brackets, your bracket, etc., is acceptable.
Also, Jared brought his bracket to the broadcast yesterday, and it was laminated. So, no. He had it in like a sleeve and everything. So, we're going to talk about our brackets.
Oh, laminated. That's incredible.
First of all, that was an incorrect mischaracterization from Michelle Kuznetsovich, who's sitting right over there. I did not laminate anything. I have a pack of 1,000 sleeves. You just slide it right into the sleeve. It was just, I just put it there just because we're today we're at the Rusty Nail. Yesterday we were at Jasper's. I don't want anybody's food, anybody's beer. I don't want any of that getting on anything. But that's not important. What's important is people who talk about their brackets. I think everybody probably filled out a bracket. I mean, hell, I filled out a bracket. 12 o'clock, I sat there and I was like, you know what? I haven't filled out a bracket. I haven't joined any of these challenges. I haven't done any of these bracket kind of things or whatever, but I'll fill one out. And so I just started picking schools and everything. I don't know anything about these teams for the most part, other than what I saw, last week watching a couple of conference championship games. Like, I think Texas is pretty good. Why? Because I watched Texas play in the Big 12 championship, and I was like, hey, Texas is pretty good. Now, I tried to tell you all yesterday. I tried. And I said, do not tell anybody about your brackets. Do not be that person that tries to make small talk by going up and saying, hey, how's your bracket doing? Or even worse, talking about your own bracket. Saying, oh, man, I had Arizona and they got beat by Princeton. Or I had Virginia going to the Sweet 16 and they got beat by Furman. And the reason that I tell you this is not to be rude, but it's to help you out. Because nobody cares about your bracket. It's like your fantasy football team. And last night, I'm sitting there in conversation, and it's like, oh, my bracket. I turn on the midday show. Willie's, oh, my bracket's so bad. And Derek's taking a victory lap for being number one. Brackets. Oh, it drives me crazy. And I don't know if this is a me thing or if this is an everybody thing. But both talking about your fantasy football team and talking about your bracket are humongous pet peeves of mine. Now, I go back to the whole fantasy football thing, and maybe this is because I'm a sports guy. So people think, the only way that they can make small talk is by talking about sports, even though I like talking about all kinds of stuff. I like talking about all kinds of things that aren't sports. I talk about politics. Talk about that. They don't want to talk about sports 24/7, but it's like, people would come up to me sometimes and say, hey, who should I start this week? Hunter Henry? Or, try to think of another tight end that's, not a baller. Hunter Henry or Evan Ingram? Who should I start this week? I don't know, and I don't care. I don't care. What do I care about who you start on your fantasy football team? That's part of the reason why I don't play fantasy football. Part of it is because I just don't like the whole set your lineup and it's got to be set by this time. And now there's Thursday night football and there's, draft at this time, everybody there. I don't care about any of that. I care about the real football that's being played. But it drives me crazy when people are like, who do I start this week at quarterback? Do I start Joe Flacco or do I start Andy Dalton? I don't care. And I think most people do not care about anybody else's fantasy football team. So I always tell people, it's like when people show their betting slips and they're like, oh, I had a parlay and I would have made $13 if this, I don't care. Now, if you would have made $13 million, then I might care. But $13, I'm not interested in that. And there is nothing that means less to me than your bracket or your bracket pool or anything bracket related. Oh, it drives me crazy. And the fact that Joe Rexroad thinks that, well, this year you should be allowed to talk about your brackets is so typical Joe. Now, this is going to be a wide-open tournament, and I've been saying that the whole time because there's no dominant team one way or another. But for Joe to be like, well, this year is special because we have upsets every year. That's the whole point of the tournament. All these Scarbini schools that nobody cares about, that, no one will ever flip on a TV to watch, that you have to have an ESPN Plus account to see play, end up getting in a game against a good school, and then you don't have to watch the whole game. Like, you don't have to sit down to watch a game between Arizona and Princeton. You don't have to do any of that. You can just sit down and you can just turn it on and watch it with 2.5 minutes to go. Last night, I'm watching the UT game, and I thought that was one of the worst basketball games I have ever seen in my life. I thought both teams sucked last night, including Louisiana, who was allergic to both the basketball and the hoop. But I'm flipping to Northern Kentucky, who I've never seen play, and I know the play-by-play guy there. He's one of my mentors in all of this. And I've never watched Northern Kentucky play. I'm flipping to watch them play Houston because they might win. And then when Houston starts to pull away, I flip it back. That's what the tournament's about. The tournament's not about your bracket. Oh, bracket. Bracket challenge. I remember one time, there was one guy whose bracket I found fascinating. This was 2007. And George Mason made it to the Final Four. It was like George Mason, LSU, Florida, Joakim Noah, and all those guys, and I forget who the other team was that was in there. And they made it to the Final Four. And there was one guy out of like the 1.8 billion that did the ESPN bracket challenge. There was one guy who got all 4 Final Four teams right. And then he said that the reason why he got George Mason was because he thought it was George Washington when he hit connect. That's the only guy. I'm like, that is fascinating. Everything else, I don't care. I don't care about who you had in this game. And it made me realize yesterday, with all the people talking about their brackets and all the other people who don't care about everybody else's bracket, and I was thinking about how maybe in a different life, about maybe I could have found my way into a different profession. When did the bracket become a thing? We don't do this for any other sport, ever. Nobody ever tells you, well, I had the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals in my bracket. And the bracket is only a big deal for, 1 month? We don't talk about brackets in April. We don't talk about them in May, June, July. We don't sit around Thanksgiving and talk about who was in our Sweet 16. And what's the deal with everybody wanting to talk about their bracket for a 2-week period? It's like people feel the need to tell you, well, I had them going to the Final Four and they lost in the first round. Congratulations to you. Nobody cares, and you know nothing about basketball. What could have been? What could have been? I think Jerry, I've been told that Jerry Seinfeld has made like $1 billion. Like $1 billion off of like all the reruns of Seinfeld they've played. Let's sneak a quick phone in here. Zach is up next here on Stillman and Company. Thank you for calling on the bracket. Go ahead, Zach.
Hey, actually, he didn't hear me right. It was actually Jack with a J.
Go ahead.
But that's okay. Yeah, I just want to tell you, man, that you are 100% right.
I know.
Nobody wants to hear people talking about their bracket. I listen to you all the time, and I expected to hear you saying, why Virginia got their butts whipped yesterday, or why Xavier barely won today. But we don't really want to hear you talking about other people's bracket either.
Yeah, you know what? There's probably some truth there. Thank you for your call. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025 if you want to weigh in. By the way, somebody texted in and said, you care about mock drafts, Jared. Who cares? Let me just say this. There's this Pro Football Focus thing. You can do your own mock draft or whatever, and people put those up on the internet. I don't care about that either. But it is fun to do on my own. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Kevin Byard reportedly has asked for his release from the Titans. What we make of it, we'll reset that next. Stillman and Company live from the Rusty Nail out here in Hermitage. 1025, 1063 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Have you seen the selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches they now have at Genesis Diamonds? If not, prepare to be amazed.
If people really know the watch world, they come in and they're in shock. They're like, I cannot believe you have this selection here. They're able to see them, touch them, feel them.
Meet Genesis watch expert Charlie Rivers, who says over the past few years, Genesis buyers have scoured the world to build a collection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes, including all the hard-to-find models.
Daytonas, Pandas, Sky Dwellers, a huge selection of Submariners, Hulks, Kermits, anything that you could ever possibly want. We have every luxury pre-owned Rolex that we have here. We ensure that it's in pristine condition.
So come in today and find the timepiece of your dreams at Genesis. Or if you already own a Rolex and are looking to trade for a different model or even sell it, Genesis can help you get top dollar.
If you have a Rolex, definitely bring it in. I would love to see it and do a complimentary evaluation on it and see what we can do for you.
Genesis Diamonds, now with one of the largest selections of luxury pre-owned Rolexes in America. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Smashville, experience Predators hockey all season long. 2023-24 season tickets are on sale now. Lock in your seat location before the general public. Score savings up to 45% off box office pricing and enjoy season ticket citizen discounts at concessions and retail. Secure your exclusive benefits at NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/season tickets. Go Preds!
Your Game Center update.
This is Nick Keyser for your Game Center update. The Nashville Predators still remain 4 points outside the final wild card spot after losing 2-1 to the Chicago Blackhawks yesterday evening. Chicago was previously 0-13-3 versus the Predators before winning last night. Head coach John Hines on his team's performance.
We've had much more energy and spark to our game, and tonight we thought guys were working, but we just didn't have it, and some of that comes down to the execution on the chances. And I think it's important that, they got to understand, even in this league, you can't get too low, because there's another one coming at 1 o'clock on Saturdays.
And the Tennessee Volunteers took down Louisiana last night 58-55 in the first round of the NCAA tournament, while Penn State upset Texas A&M 76-59, while the 12-seeded Princeton Tigers beat Arizona 59-55. The action continues today with second-round action beginning tomorrow morning at 11:10 a.m. And the Vanderbilt Commodores will take on Michigan in the second round of the NIT tomorrow, with the broadcast starting at 10:30 on 93.3 Classic Hits. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Bobby and Rex Road. Chase and Michelle.
Caroline, Willie, D-Bay.
Stone and Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
1025 and 1063.
Crank City score. On both sides of the one big possession. Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 1025, 1063 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios today on this Fireball Hot Take Friday. We are live at the Rusty Nail out here in Hermitage. Enjoy $3 two-lane beer drafts while taking in the opening round of the tournament. By the way, one of my teams, Marquette, won. So good for them. But you can watch the opening round of the tournament as we get to go. They got all the games on, all the TVs up in here. Great spot. Right off the interstate out by the airport. Going to be one of my new boat spots out here before Percy Priest Lake. The Rusty Nail is located in Hermitage and provides a great local atmosphere with a large outdoor patio and volleyball courts, plus great drinks and great food, especially the wings. Call now to reserve your private events and corporate parties. So I woke up this morning thinking that we were going to talk a lot about basketball today. I mean, I thought the number one story was going to be basketball, Tennessee, everything else. I went on Robbie and Joe. I yelled at Joe this morning, and, Joe had his microphone, was talking like this or whatever it may be. And so then after that, I'm listening to Robbie and Joe, and they're talking about this Mike Lombardi report that Kevin Byard has been asked to take a pay cut, and the Titans might release him. Here's what Mike Lombardi said on the GM Shuffle podcast.
And Jesse Bates is a good player, but to me, I think when, Byard, the kid at Tennessee, right? Kevin Byard, he's really a good player. They're trying to get him to take a pay cut. So would I sign Bates? If he doesn't take a pay cut, they're going to cut him. So if I sign Bates, do I go after? I would rather have Byard than Bates. I think he's really a good player. So you got to kind of play that around a little bit. You got to wait.
Oh, Kevin Byard. Wow, that's an interesting one because he's a former All-Pro. He's a heck of a player.
He's a really good player, but they're trying to get him to take a pay cut. He doesn't want to do it. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. Who's, are they bluffing? Are they not bluffing? I mean, they got cap issues. I mean, that team's in a mess.
So I heard that, and I thought to myself, what? Release Kevin Byard? Why would you release Kevin Byard? And I'm like, and again, Mike Lombardi, I like Mike Lombardi. I know Mike Lombardi's son, who I think is a coach now for the Panthers, but is a good guy. He was at Louisville when I was at Louisville, good guy. And I like Lombardi. We had him on the show at the Super Bowl, and he's got, he's a former general manager. But I'm like, where's Lombardi getting this? So I did some digging. And I talked to a source, the same source that told me John Robinson was getting fired 20 minutes before the news came out that John Robinson was getting fired. And that source told me, I said, hey, is this rumor true about the Titans wanting Kevin Byard to take a pay cut? And that source told me not only is that true, confirming the Mike Lombardi report, but he told me that Kevin Byard has requested his release from the Titans. I heard that and I thought, what? Kevin Byard has requested his release? And I'm not going to lie to you, there was a part of me internally that my heart kind of sunk, thinking like, wait a minute. Kevin Byard is requesting a release from the Tennessee Titans? No way. There's no way, no how. There's no way they could be doing that. And the more I followed up, the more I was told, no, Byard's got 1 year left after this year, no guaranteed money, and he wanted an extension, and the Titans were not willing to negotiate an extension. I think the phrase I was told was the Titans were unwilling to engage on an extension talk, and maybe that means just guaranteeing some more money, I don't know. And the Byard asked the team for his release. And that's what I was told. And so now I'm sitting here thinking, man, I really liked what the Titans were doing. I really like what they've done in free agency. And I have no feeling one way or the other about Rand Carthon. I don't. I really, but the last week you hear they're shopping Derrick Henry. And this week you hear that they're thinking about releasing Kevin Byard. And then you're hearing that Kevin Byard wants a release from the team. And I'm like, whoa, how did we get here? Now, I just want everybody to be aware of something. Just because Kevin Byard reportedly asked the team for a release does not mean that they are obligated to release him. In fact, I think the way Byard probably feels about it, now I'm not going to say this is how he for sure feels about it because I don't know. But I think the way Byard probably feels about it is you want me to take a pay cut. If I'm going to do you a solid and take a pay cut, you're going to do me a solid. You're going to guarantee me some money in next year. And I would agree. So then he knows that he's not just going to be here this year, but he knows that he's going to be here next year too. Totally fair. And the Titans are like, whoa, now we don't want to do that. And so I think Byard's saying, okay, fine. Then if you want me to take a pay cut and you don't want to give me anything in return, release me. And it's like Lombardi said in that clip, this is where the rubber meets the road. Is he calling them on their bluff? Are they going to release Kevin Byard? And Byard's almost, say, hey, do it. Fine, do it. Pull the trigger. See what happens. And I have a hard time taking the Titans side on this because I don't think you get back. I don't think your team is so bad the way everybody makes you out to be, like you're the Texans and the Colts. I don't think you're that bad. But I don't think you're competing next year if you don't have Kevin Byard at safety. And I don't think you're competing next year if you don't have Derrick Henry at running back. And I don't think you're competing next year if you don't have Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, because there's nobody else out there who's better than Tannehill. And there's a reason why Daniel Jones got $40 million. It isn't because the Giants like Daniel Jones. It's because there's nobody else if they don't have Daniel Jones. And then the other part about this with the Titans that drives me crazy is the excuse of if they were to release Byard. The excuse would be because of the cap. That's what they would say. They would say it's because of the cap. But the Titans are under the cap. Even with big cap hits for Henry and Tannehill and Byard, even with those big cap hits that are big cap hits because the Titans have restructured Tannehill's deal once. They restructured Henry's deal once. I believe they've restructured Byard's deal twice. They have big cap hits. So what? If you cut Byard, you get $6 million in savings. What are you going to do with that $6 million? Are you going to get a player for $6 million that's better than Kevin Byard? Because that's what you'd be giving up. And you know the answer to that is no. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Just resetting kind of the news of the day. 615-737-1025. John is up next here on Stillman & Company. Fireball Hot Take Friday. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Go ahead, John.
Guys, it's sort of like a business that's in trouble. It's we're going to keep you, but we got to cut things back, and that's basically the way it is. And it sucks, but that's the way it is.
So, except that I'm not sure that that's really the case. Thank you for your call. I'm not sure that's really the case. It's not like the Titans got sued, and all of a sudden the Titans are going to have to, we got to cut back. It's not like the Titans got sold. It's not like there's a fire sale going on. It's not like there's any of that. It's not any of that. I understand the idea of thinking like, hey, we're going to have to, we can't afford all this stuff. But it's the NFL. It's not Johnny's Auto Parts where, unfortunately an AutoZone moved in down the street and now Johnny's Auto Parts is not doing too well. And so we got to let a couple of guys behind the counter go because we just can't afford it anymore. AC Delco is upping the prices of filters, and we've got to do something around here at Johnny's Auto Parts. This is the NFL. They just sold a package to Amazon out of nowhere, and they get $1 billion for Thursday Night Football. Jesse Bates, who, and you heard in that cut from Lombardi, and I would not be the one to be able to break this down, but I got to believe that Jesse Bates means more to the Titans. That Kevin Byard means more to the Titans than Jesse Bates probably did to either Cincinnati or right now to Atlanta. Jesse Bates just signed a contract with Atlanta that's $16 million a year. Now, normally, the AAV doesn't matter in football, and it's all finagled and phony anyways, except that we're talking about Byard's salary here of $14 million. If Jesse Bates is a $16 million player, Byard is a $14 million player. And so I'm on Byard's side. If Kevin Byard is putting his foot down saying, I am not taking a pay cut, I'm on his side. If Kevin Byard's saying, hey, I'm willing to work with you, and this is an if, because I don't know if this is true or not. If Kevin Byard were to say, I'm willing to work with you, but you have to guarantee me some money next year, and they say no, I'm on Kevin Byard's side. You don't get better by getting rid of Kevin Byard. It's like I was listening to Derek last week, and I love Derek with all of my heart. I do. But when all the Derrick Henry stuff was coming out, and I was listening to Derek talk about Henry and saying, I know that he loves him, but sometimes it's hard to let go, and sometimes, and I'm thinking to myself, is it really that, we're talking about Derrick Henry like he was Eddie George at the end. He's not like Eddie George at the end. Second in the NFL in rushing. He made the Pro Bowl last year. He's really one of the only reasons why you're good. Well, what are we doing here? It's not some face of the franchise guy that's been around, like Kobe at the end with the Lakers, where Kobe was hurt and Kobe was old and, Kobe, but he was still Kobe. But he was making a lot of money, and he wasn't the same kind of player. They were not competing for the finals anymore. So at some point, it's like, all right, it's hard to say goodbye, but it's time to say goodbye, and on you go. Derrick Henry's not there yet. But we talk about Derrick Henry, and we talk about Kevin Byard like they're there. We talk about Ryan Tannehill like he's not there yet. He's still winning games in the NFL. So, I mean, this idea of, well, you know, this is because the business is losing too much money. It's $14 million. The Titans last year had a payroll of $217 million. I'm not going to say it's a drop in the bucket because it's a little bit more than that. But $14 million does not wreck an NFL franchise. The Packers are trying to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. They own $58 million. $14 million does not wreck an NFL franchise. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. And the one place where I have defended the Titans, and maybe I'm wrong, we'll get to that next, 615-737-1025 here on Stillman and Company. It is a Fireball Hot Take Friday, and that means I got to tell you about Fireball Whiskey. That's right, Fireball Whiskey goes down so smooth and it tastes so great. There's no better way to watch the tournament with your buddies hanging out this weekend, tons going on, than to do it with Fireball Whiskey. I love Fireball. Been telling you about Fireball for years. Fireball Whiskey is the best. That's right. Fireball Whiskey goes down so smooth and it tastes so great. Ignite the night. Please do it responsibly and be 21 years or older to enjoy. That's Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey.
Every Wednesday at noon.
That fits the mentality of what they're going to do.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
Much more creative in how you go about calling certain plays.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
That doesn't mean that you can't have great or don't need great quarterback play.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, TJ Anderson here. With real estate listings, you have to read between the lines. Like waterfront property, more like a mosquito farm. Pride of ownership, they're really proud of the DIY job they did. Seller says sell. Really? I thought they just put it on the market for fun. My team at TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty is ready to help both home buyers and sellers decode the market. Oh, and if it says don't let this one pass you by, it's probably on wheels. Google TJ Anderson Homes, read our reviews, and see why we are referred for a reason. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, 615-432-2919.
For one day only, Saturday, March 25th, get 5+ acres and a new cabin package on sale for only $69.9 during the Nashville Acreage Grand Opening Land Sale. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get the best of both worlds. Flat, usable, prime Nashville acreage with the biggest and most spectacular ridgeline views in the entire Nashville area. Priced below market prices. Come explore this recreational paradise and make your dreams of owning exceptional Nashville acreage a reality for less. With 5+ acres and a new cabin package for just $69.9. Best of all, these properties include first-class infrastructure like county water, electric, and county road frontage. All huge advantages in today's market. Appointment times are filling up fast. Call now to book your private tour. 615-437-6348. That's 615-437-6348. Cabin kit package for materials only. Delivered to site by third party. Taxes and delivery not included. Price is subject to change without notice or obligation. Call for complete details. An equal housing opportunity.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-251-2305. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-251-2305 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-251-2305 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-251-2305.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Yeah, man, I don't like this. I'm not really good with like goodbyes and all this stuff, and you got to start really realizing that a lot of these guys you might not see for a long time, if not, I ain't gonna say ever again or nothing like that, but you might just see them in another color jersey. Got to meet with coaches. Trash bag day, clean out your locker. So it's just not really a good day at all in the NFL. A lot of things going to be changed. So, tough day around the entire NFL.
There you go. That was Kevin Byard after the season. And he was talking about, hey, it would be a tough day. And, you're going to know that guys aren't coming back and things like that. And I don't think he was talking about himself. And now all of a sudden, who knows? Again, the Titans asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. That, according to Mike Lombardi, Kevin Byard said nope. And that Kevin Byard has asked the team for his release, according to what I heard. And I will say this. For everybody out there, I have defended the Titans. I am not somebody who I think, hammers the Titans every day or who kisses their tush. I feel like I have no agenda. I love the Titans. I'm a huge fan. You all know that. But I defended them last year when they traded A.J. Brown. Because the thing that was kind of coming out about the Titans and former players, when the owner was somebody different, former players for years have pointed the finger at the Titans and the way that they spend money. And I've heard stories about the old days and, just go back to what happened in 1994 with the Houston Oilers. And you can see about opening up the pocketbook when it comes to paying players with the Bud Adams regime. I mean, the only reason that the Titans are here is because Bud Adams wanted that money, and we were willing to give it to him. But I defended this administration when they traded away A.J. Brown. And people were saying the Titans are cheap. This is how the Titans do things. This is how the – and I said, look, I believed that the Titans wanted to pay A.J. Brown. And that it just got to be, too ugly of a negotiation. And I said, look, they paid Harold Landry. They've paid Kevin Byard. They've paid Ryan Tannehill. They've paid Derrick Henry. They traded for Julio Jones. Like, they have taken on money now. They spent the money on Clowney. It might have been bad money. They shouldn't have done it. But they spent the money on Clowney. And I did not believe that they were a cheap organization. And I stood up and said, they're not being a cheap organization. They are looking at A.J. Brown's injury history. They are looking at A.J. Brown's actions, and they're saying, we want to go with a younger, healthier version of A.J. Brown. And I believed that, and I still kind of do. But right now, they're sitting there trying to ask Kevin Byard to take a pay cut, and according to Spot Track, they have the lowest payroll in the league for next year. As of right now. Now, again, Andre Dillard's going to come through there, and Danny Brunskill's going to come through there, and Luke Gifford's going to come through there, and Azeez Al-Shire's going to come through there, and Arden Key is going to eventually come through there. But as of right now, according to Spot Track, the Titans have $143.9 million committed for next season. The Bears are the second lowest payroll in the league at $163.9. So the freaking Bears are spending $20 more million on their payroll next year as of right now than you. I mean, come on now. And then at the bottom, it's the perpetual low spenders except for the Rams, New England, Steelers. Although Steelers normally, they fluctuate up and down. But I have never called the Titans cheap. And I don't think spending the most money in the NFL equals success. Right now, Denver has the most money committed for next year at $243 million. Last year, the Titans spent $217 going into the season. $243 million for the Broncos. And that doesn't even include the $18 million coach. And I still don't think the Broncos are going to win a lot of games. Cleveland is second. And we know how cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs they are. So I don't think necessarily spending money equals winning. But what is the point in the Titans, who have already cut a bunch of guys, I think injured and underproducing guys, but what is the point in going to Kevin Byard and saying, hey, man, we need to tighten up the belt around here. We need you to take a pay cut. I have taken one pay cut in my entire life. Now, I have offered to take more, certain instances, but I've taken one pay cut in my entire life. Do you know what happened to radio advertising when COVID shut everything down? It was across the whole industry. People were getting furloughed. We never got furloughed here or anything like that. But we took pay cuts. And I got it. I understood it. It wasn't one word out of my mouth about it. I understood why. I knew exactly what was going on with the economy. I knew what was exactly going on with the radio industry. I knew that a lot of people in this business were going to lose their jobs over this. And I was glad that we didn't lose our jobs over this. So I understood it. You go to Kevin Byard, and the Titans are making millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they're worth billions and billions of dollars, and they're building a new stadium. You go to Kevin Byard and say, hey, Kevin, $14 million is too much for you. What? On whose account? Fine. If $14 million is a little too much, give me a little something next year, and let's do it. No. We're not doing that. And again, I've never accused the Titans of being cheap, and I'm not accusing the Titans of being cheap right now. But, as of right now, they have the lowest payroll in the NFL. And they're asking Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. And they're shopping, reportedly, Derrick Henry. And Jeffrey Simmons deleted all of his social media. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Kevin from Union City says, this is why the fans have been down and out. We're not only can't afford free agent players, but we can't even keep the good ones we have now. We'll see. We'll see if the Titans end up releasing Kevin Byard. Now, I asked Corey Curtis, I said, how do you think this is going to play out? And Corey Curtis earlier today said he thinks ultimately cooler heads will prevail. I don't know if the Titans just looked at the budget and they just went to all the top earners and said, hey, we need you to take a pay cut. Even though I still don't understand why they would need them to take a pay cut, because it's not like the Titans have committed a lot of cash for next season. But, I'm looking at this and thinking to myself, maybe they just decided, hey, we got to clear some. This reminds me, and again, this is just the gossip and the rumor element of this. But this reminds me of when the Predators got sold. And it was a complete fire sale. And that Forsberg and Correa and Timonen and all those guys got sent packing. Because they just didn't have any money. And I know the Titans aren't that. So I don't know I don't know where they're sitting here thinking this. Somebody texted into the text line and said, what do you think the Titans could get in exchange for Kevin Byard in a trade? 5th round pick? Maybe. Jalen Ramsey, who plays corner, just went for a 3rd round pick. So a 5th round pick for Byard, that doesn't mean Byard's not a good player. And again, I think you'd probably get a 3rd or 4th round pick for Henry. That doesn't mean Derrick Henry's still not a really good player. But I don't think there's much trade value. Now, I heard Caroline, Derek, and Willie talking about this earlier today, and it was, do we move on from Byard now so it'll be better in the future? And I'm like, better how? It's not like you're going to make a trade with somebody and get 2 first-round picks in exchange for them. Nobody's going to do that. So let's say you get a 5th-round pick in exchange for Kevin Byard, a 4th-round pick in exchange for Kevin Byard. Does that make you better? I actually looked this up the other day. The Ryan Tannehill trade with the Dolphins. Titans traded a 4th-round pick and a 7th-round pick for Tannehill, and they got Tannehill and a 6th-round pick. The Titans drafted David Long Jr. with that 6th-round pick. I've never heard of the 2 guys the Dolphins took. And I still don't think you're going to get a 4th-round pick if you were to put Byard out there. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We're right to your phones. We'll do it next. Stillman and Company on a Fireball Hot Take Friday right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Want a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game?
Yes.
Tune in to Robbie and Rex Road every weekday Preds game day at 8:45 for Preds Pick to Click. Guess a goal scorer and win.
I'll take Roman Yost.
Matt Duchesne. Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Preds Pick to Click.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
It's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Sale.
Which factory? From where?
Family Leisure has truckloads of new model merchandise from all their factories arriving daily.
Really? Like what?
Well, spas for one. All the new model spas are here and on sale from Artesian, Catalina, and American Select Spas. As low as $29.99.
Okay.
Family Leisure is getting all their new patio furniture styles. Hanneman, Tropitone, and Woodard are on sale. And there are still a lot of floor models left to sell at ridiculous prices. The guaranteed largest selection and lowest prices in the Mid-South.
Now, that's interesting.
Family Leisure has factory direct pricing on pools. 24-foot pools starting as low as $29.99 installed. And solid wood slate pool tables are only $19.99 as well.
That means the grills, smokers, and grill islands are on sale too.
Of course. Family Leisure even has the huge Diamond Point Play system for only $24.99 installed.
Even the massage chairs, theater seating are on sale.
That's right. That's Family Leisure's factory direct sale going on now.
Both locations, Antioch and Franklin.
Ever tried to shop for a diamond online? They all look great on the computer screen, but the fact is, most reputable jewelers like Genesis Diamonds wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole.
These are the diamonds that nobody wants to buy. We call them the B-quality diamonds.
That's Genesis owner Boaz Ramon, who says that even diamonds with the same grade and specs on paper can be very different when you see them up close in person, especially the ones from online dealers.
Those diamonds gonna look always cloudy or dirty. It's like you're wearing your glasses and there is fingerprints all over the glass. You just don't understand, or nobody told you that the material that this diamond was cut from was not the best material.
Why risk it? At Genesis Diamonds, they screen thousands of diamonds and only choose the best of the best for maximum brilliance, sparkle, and luster. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
I'm Boaz Ramon, and my accent is always on value.
Hey, it's Jared for Hiller. Sometimes replacing equipment in your home can be overlooked until something breaks, but there's actually big problems that can come from outdated old vintage HVAC systems. Older systems require more maintenance and results in higher utility bills. This month during Hiller's Vintage Showdown, they're giving away a free HVAC system to the owner of the oldest unit. It's easy to enter. Just go online to happyhiller.com and submit a picture of your old unit. Everybody wins with a trade-in credit and 0% interest financing for up to 48 months on replacement. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics wants to thank their patients for voting them the #1 orthopedic practice in the Nashville Scene Poll for 3 years in a row. Their physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
If you are talking about a team, that's building a roster.
Chase and Michelle 9 to 11.
He's still under contract.
It's not always X's and O's.
Caroline, Willie, and D Mace 11 to 2.
Trades, free agents.
Let's get it going. I think this is a good hire.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
I can give you one of the best coaches in the league.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Nashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Hey Nashville, this is David Price. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Just finished my 7th year here in Tennessee. I would love to be able to retire as a Titan. This team, this city, this organization, the fans, community, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to my family. So definitely wouldn't want to play any other place, any other city, any other organization other than Tennessee Titans.
There you go. That was Kevin Byard on Locker Cleanout Day. And I don't think Kevin Byard was telling a lie. I think Kevin Byard was telling the truth. But I think Kevin Byard's vision for this organization and maybe the organization's vision in general may not be on par with one another. And I do wonder if Kevin Byard now feels differently. Again, I'm told Kevin Byard requested a release from the organization after they asked him to take a pay cut. I did promise your phones. A texter asked, and I think this is a very good question because, as everybody knows, I get into it with the salary cap people. But a texter into the text line asks, what is the difference between the cap and payroll? Says, can you explain the difference between the cap and the number and the payroll? We only have $15 million in cap. How do the Titans have the lowest payroll? So here's how the cap works. The cap operates like, I'll use cash first for a second. Cash spent is how much money in 2023 your team is spending. Like, how much money today are you spending, for this season, as in the checks that you're going to write? The cap is a combination of the money you're spending for this season and the money that you've already paid. And all you can push that money into future seasons. That's what restructuring a contract does. You take the salary that you're set to pay this year, you give it to them as a bonus, and you prorate the bonus over the course of the season. That's how the salary cap works as compared to the bonus money. And that's how, the difference between cash and cap. The Broncos, they have those Walmart owners. They got the richest owners in the NFL, and all the Broncos want to do is just pay because they've got the money to be able to do it. Whereas other teams, the Bengals, the teams that don't necessarily like to pay all the money, the Bengals will sit there and they'll say, hey, we're going to pay you a signing bonus, but we're going to pay you a lower salary. That's why Orlando Brown, if you look at that salary, he got the highest signing bonus in the history of the NFL. Orlando Brown's only getting $16 million a year because the Bengals don't want to pay the money long term, knowing that they're going to have to pay that money every year to Joe Burrow. So they give him a bunch of money up front, which is risky. Because anytime you give somebody money up front, it's risky that you're going to get the return on your investment. So in the case of the Titans, to again, kind of put a bow on this, the Titans restructured Tannehill's contract, which pushed future bonus money paid to Tannehill into future years. They restructured Henry's contract last year, which pushed money that they were giving Derrick Henry into future years. They've restructured Kevin Byard's contract twice, which has pushed that money into future years. And they've got Julio Jones. They're still paying on the cap, not actual money out of their pockets, but they are still having to pay for Julio Jones because they made him a June 1st cut. So that's the difference. It is the money that you have already spent combined with the money that you're going to spend for this year. That's the cap. And then the way you lower the cap is to take the salary that you're supposed to pay this year, you give it to somebody as a bonus. That's what a restructure is. You give it to them up front, and then it spreads out that salary over the course of the years. And I get it. It's complicated. It's meant to be complicated. The whole point of the cap, this is why this particular cap exists. Because some teams want to be able to look at their fans and say, we tried to keep Johnny as our running back, but we just couldn't do it because we don't have the cap space. We tried to keep Stevie, but we couldn't afford it. But then the teams that are right there on the cusp of competing, and the owners who have the money, and the owners who are like, we want to win, what they're doing is, like Buffalo, they're like, no, we want to keep all of our good players so that we can stay good. And that's the difference. And that's why the teams that spend the most money are the teams that have the most money. Denver has the richest owner in the NFL, and they're spending the most money this year. Cleveland, we know how much money they've got at Cleveland. Buffalo's got all this money, and that's why they're spending the most. If the salary cap were real, you could not give Deshaun Watson $56 million. But it's not real. So you just move the money around and restructure. I think for some reason, people think that restructure means pay cut. But it doesn't mean that. Restructure means give me the money up front. I mean, think about that. If somebody came to you at your job and they said, hey, we need to save some money, or we need to get some more people in here to help you out, we're going to give you your money up front. Are you okay with that? I'd say yes. I'll take my money up front. And I think most everybody else would too. Texter to the text line says, do you think the Titans are tanking for Caleb Williams? No, I do not. I do not think the Titans are tanking for Caleb Williams. But what I am concerned about is that I think the Titans are going to be good this year. Like, I still think that, look, they were 2 minutes and 50 seconds away from the playoffs last year, and everything went wrong. They traded A.J. Brown. Tannehill got hurt. The offensive line was terrible. They had a horrible offensive coordinator. I mean, they had all those. Everything went wrong. And they were 2 minutes and 50 seconds in the last game of the year away from making the playoffs. So I think the Titans, with a second-place schedule, and Jacksonville has a first-place schedule, I think that, and the 11th pick, I think the Titans have a chance at being good this year. But I don't know if the Titans think the Titans are going to be good this year after you hear that they're shopping Derrick Henry. And it's like, if you're going to shop Derrick Henry, like, you must not think you're going to be good this year. That I can't follow. Texter in the text line says, great explanation. Thank you. Texter says, the Titans are saving money for the stadium. Doesn't it make sense? I don't think so. Here's the thing that I feel about, the stadium money and the fact that the Titans are supposedly going to put up $500 million of their own money, and they're going to get $200 million, I think, from the NFL, and they're going to take $140 of your $1 million in PSLs, and that's going to be what they give to the state and to the city in order to build the new stadium. This is what I would say there. That's great, but you can't cut on the team in order to pay your part of the stadium. I didn't think that was part of the deal. I thought the deal was, hey, what I was told, and who knows if this is true or not, but what I was told was the Adams in Texas closed out, Bud Adams' business, the KS Adams Industry, Energy, whatever. They closed that out down there to take that lump sum of money and put it towards the stadium. If they had held a press conference with the mayor and they had said, we'd agreed on a new stadium, so this is what we're going to do. If they had agreed on a new stadium and the Titans got up there and said, and in order to finance our half of this stadium, we are going to cut back on players, so we will not be good next year, and we probably won't be good after that. Any questions? People would have lost their minds. People would have said, you're crazy. Well, I say people. I would have lost my mind. Texter says if the cap was fake, then the Titans wouldn't be asking Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. Here's what I'll say to that. I don't know why they're asking Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. Jesse Bates just signed for $16 million as a safety in Atlanta. I think Byard might be a better player than Jesse Bates. Crowd says way better. And I do think he's better than Jesse Bates. So if he's a $14 million player, then you should pay him like a $14 million player. And I don't know if they've told Rand Carthon, like, hey, we want to slash the budget and see where we can cut everywhere possible. But when you ask a guy to take a pay cut, you're probably going to either have to give him something in return or else he's going to take it personally. And so if Byard's asking for, it's not about cap number. Because if they want to lower the cap, all they just give him his money up front. Give him his money up front. That's $14 million. And, extend his contract with void years or however you want to do it, or even real years. And you can cut that $14 million all of a sudden to $3.25 million this season. And his cap number goes from 19 to whatever 19 minus 14 is, 5 plus 3.25. You're talking about 8.25. So I just lowered his cap number, and I didn't change any of the money. I just gave it to him up front. But I don't think they want to do that. And I'm fine with getting out of the business of restructuring and everything else and being like the Saints and these other teams that just spend. But you can't tell me that the cap is the reason why they wanted Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. I think I don't know. That's something that they'd have to figure out for themselves. And what they're really going to have to figure out for themselves, and what we're going to see, is if they went to Byard and they said, hey, we want you to take a pay cut, and Byard said no, and Byard went back to them and said, I want you to release me. We'll see if the Titans will put literally their money where their mouth is and say, okay, fine, we said we were going to release you, and now we'll release you. Because I don't know how this fan base is going to react to that positively. Because I don't think they will. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll get back into your phones as always. Plus, last night's basketball game. I got to have a take on last night's basketball game. I haven't got there yet. I actually stayed up for last night's basketball game. And it was one of the worst basketball games I've ever seen played. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Starting this Sunday, it's the Electronic Express Famous Half Price Fair. Get incredible savings on all 4K TVs, appliances, home audio, computers and tablets, housewares, and more. Save up to 50% in every department. You'll not find a lower price anywhere. We guarantee it. The Famous Half Price Fair. It's first come, first served. Starting this Sunday, 10 a.m. at all Electronic Express locations. And get up to 3 years free financing. The Electronic Express Famous Half Price Fair starts this Sunday at 10 a.m.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Teron Davenport here for Superbook Sports. Make 2023 the year you beat Vegas. Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. No fancy computer algorithms, no guys across the pond setting lines for American sports. Just the best team of odds makers in the business behind the counter at the Superbook in Las Vegas. Plus, Superbook features some of the best odds boosts and promo bets anywhere. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com and start your battle against Vegas right now. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
For one day only, Saturday, March 25th, get 5+ acres and a new cabin package on sale for only $69.9 during the Nashville Acreage Grand Opening Land Sale. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get the best of both worlds. Flat, usable, prime Nashville acreage with the biggest and most spectacular ridgeline views in the entire Nashville area. Priced below market prices. Come explore this recreational paradise and make your dreams of owning exceptional Nashville acreage a reality for less. With 5+ acres and a new cabin package for just $69.9. Best of all, these properties include first-class infrastructure like county water, electric, and county road frontage. All huge advantages in today's market. Appointment times are filling up fast. Call now to book your private tour. 615-437-6348. That's 615-437-6348. Cabin kit package for materials only. Delivered to site by third party. Taxes and delivery not included. Price is subject to change without notice or obligation. Call for complete details. An equal housing opportunity.
For the love of Tennessee at dawn. For the love of the fight. For the love of having nowhere else you'd rather be. For the love of Tennessee. Travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Start your day with a cup of Joe. Ugh, he's gonna think that's stupid. Wait, what? Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad are Robbie and Rexroad. There, that sounds better.
Thank you so much.
Weekdays from 6 to 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tennessee 2 timeouts, 7.4 to go. Julian to inbound, Folks the other way. Meshack defending, lost the ball. Up and in at the buzzer, it's over, and Tennessee survives and advances and wins by 3. Hard-fought game as there is a new season low for the Raging Cajuns. Two longtime coaches, Bob Marlin and Rick Barnes. And now it'll be Duke and Tennessee here on Saturday.
That was last night. Tennessee hangs on to beat Louisiana. And let me just state for the record, That was one of the ugliest basketball games I have ever seen. I lied to you all. I said I was not going to stay up and watch the game. I stayed up and watched the game. Ladarius, I don't know why I did that. I tell you, the first half, and I think Louisiana was like 30% from the field. The first half, I wondered how this Louisiana team made the NCAA tournament. I mean, they looked like they were allergic to the basketball, and they were allergic to the hoop. And it wasn't like, Joe this morning was talking about Tennessee's elite defense. I didn't feel like it was elite defense. The guy from Louisiana comes down the floor, and he throws a bounce pass, and it hits the guy from Louisiana in the knee, and it goes out of bounds. That wasn't elite defense. That was just middle school fundamentals. And then all of a sudden in the second half, Louisiana, out of nowhere, goes on like a 9-0, 12-0 run. Rick Barnes will not call timeout, which has been a story as old as time, that Rick Barnes has been doing this for 50 years. And when things get tough and other coaches call timeout to slow the pace and slow the momentum, Rick Barnes won't do it. And he didn't do it until it got real bad last night. Louisiana came back. Then Tennessee pulled away again. Then Louisiana came back. Then Tennessee pulled away again. Then I turned the game off. And then I saw they only won by 3. And I thought, how? How? That Louisiana team was so bad last night. And if they had just shot the ball a little bit better, Tennessee would have lost. Now, I'm not one of these believers, one of these people that sits there and says, well, if this had happened or if this hadn't happened or if we'd had another half, or I don't believe in that kind of talk. But I do believe in knowing what's ahead. And Tennessee plays Duke tomorrow. Of course it's on, is it on CBS tomorrow? It might not be on CBS tomorrow. Tennessee plays Duke tomorrow. I think it's on CBS. I think it's the middle game of the day. I could be wrong. Tennessee plays Duke tomorrow. Dun, 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 dun. I guarantee that Duke will beat Tennessee tomorrow. Now, very rarely do I make individual game guarantees. I can't even think of the last time I guaranteed a game. Nick, we'll need to leave a note for Ian when he gets back on vacation that I have guaranteed that Duke will beat Tennessee. Joe came on the show on Wednesday for Jared versus Joe, and he was talking, the basketball Benny that he is. Joe came on the show, and he was talking about how Oral Roberts might beat Duke. And I sat down last night, and of course Duke was in prime time because they always put Duke on in prime time. Duke was on in prime time. And I've been hot for Duke after what I watched them do in that ACC tournament, and they haven't lost since Valentine's Day. And I watched a mauling. It hurt my feelings to see how bad it was for Oral Roberts' performance last night. I saw that Duke team that's got a veteran point guard who's got Final Four experience, and I saw those two big boys for Duke, Derek Lively and Kyle Filipowski. They're both 7 foot tall. They're great defenders, especially Lively. They can score the basketball. They've got a deep team. And I'm like, this Duke team, now they're a 5 seed. Now, I've already said I think that's crazy. This Duke team, I'm not sure I've seen a team yet in the NCAA tournament that's as good as Duke. I'm not sure. I mean, I look at Alabama, and I look at Brandon Miller, and I think to myself, I'm not sure that Duke is not going to overpower Alabama with their big size in there against Miller. And now Tennessee, who played one of the ugliest basketball games I have ever seen last night without their starting point guard, now they're going to play that Duke team. Joe gave Tennessee a 40% chance to win on Wednesday against Duke. I gave him a 3% chance. I'm going to stay with 3. But I guarantee you, the way the two teams are trending and the matchup, I guarantee you Duke will beat Tennessee. I guarantee it. Now, here's the part that's tough for me. Every year, and I do enjoy this, every single year, I enjoy the fact that Tennessee fans get their hopes up in the NCAA tournament because they always have a good regular season, and they get their hopes up for the NCAA tournament, and then they turn around and they lose. And they always lose in white jerseys because Rick Barnes always gets upset. And yesterday he was trying. And if they had lost yesterday to Louisiana, especially that Louisiana team, if they had lost to Louisiana, then we could have chalked that up to, you know what, at the end of the day, Rick Barnes choked again. And I could always, I could put that with Oregon State 2 years ago. I could put that with last year's game against Michigan. I can put that with the game against Purdue. I can put that with the Sister Jean game. I can put that with all those games that Rick Barnes has lost in the tournament as a higher seed and say, ha, 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 ha. Rick Barnes lost to that Louisiana team. And again, I think we can all agree, that Louisiana team freaking stunk last night. That team was terrible. But now, if they lose to Duke, everybody will say, well, what do you expect? Zakai Ziegler's hurt. Even Charles Barkley, Nick, if you could, Charles Barkley, during halftime of the game yesterday on CBS, was kind of talking about the injury to Zakai Ziegler. Now, we're still early in the tournament where Charles doesn't really know every team yet, and so he definitely doesn't know Zakai Ziegler's name. But what Charles said is why Tennessee looks so discombobulated, and it has to do with the injury to Ziegler.
The reason Tennessee was having a great season before the injury, Clark's pitcher just showed it best. There was a couple passes that he shouldn't have thrown and a couple just bad passes. And you say to yourself that the injury is showing itself tonight. And this is why I think Tennessee's going to struggle going forward. This is a good matchup for them. But the quarterback in football is the most important position for a reason. He knows who to get the ball to. It's the same way as a point guard. Kenny knows, I'm going to get him the ball. Dude, you can't get the ball out there. It's the most important position in basketball, the point guard, because he's dribbling 90% of the time. He passes for guys to score. And without their point guard, you should never be leading a game by double digits if you have 12 turnovers in a half.
12 turnovers and they have more shots.
I mean, Chuck is sitting there saying they don't have their quarterback. And if they didn't have their quarterback, it wouldn't matter if they had lost to Louisiana. We'd have said, ha, 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 Rick Barnes again. And it's like this yearly thing. I don't hate Tennessee. My dad said to me yesterday, he's listening to the show, and he goes, if anybody wondered if you hated Tennessee, they got their answer yesterday. I said, I don't hate Tennessee. But I do hate every year in February when Tennessee knocks off the number one team in the country at home, and every Tennessee fan says, this team is our team. And I'm like, this happens every year. We'll see in March, and then we see in March. And this year they're going to lose to Duke, but everybody will say it's because Ziegler got hurt and not because John Shire took Duke and has turned that team around and has built them up from an average team to a really, really good team. And Rick Barnes just can't coach in the big games. Though I do think a lot of times, like for the last couple of years, I do think Tennessee fans have looked at me and they've said, no, you're just hard on Rick Barnes or you don't like the Vols or something like that. But after last year's loss, and Joe even wrote about it in The Athletic, this how you can't ignore how Rick Barnes just cannot win in March. I do think that last year Tennessee fans kind of realized, hey, this is what our coach is. He'll keep us excited. He'll keep us enticed after football season until baseball season, but, getting to the Final Four, that's just not going to happen. And I think we're probably all on the same page there. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. I have been told that Kevin Byard has requested a release from the Titans, but that's not what Kevin Byard was hoping for at the end of the season. What changed? We'll get to that coming up next here on the program. TriStar Moving, that's my official movers. I moved with TriStar Moving over 2 years ago, and it was the best moving process that I have ever had, and I have moved quite a bit. And so if you are looking to move, give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. Get a bid from TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, and tell them that I sent you. Moving is expensive, so like everything that's expensive for your home, get some bids. and you'll see the process, and you'll see the people you're dealing with TriStar Moving, and you will say, this is a moving company for me. And if you tell them that I sent you, you'll get 10% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving at 615-640-1219 or online at nashvillemoving.org/radio. Again, 10% is a lot of money on a move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you for 10% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time for the Press Report.
The Predators were down 2-0 late in their game Thursday night against the Chicago Blackhawks in their final meeting of the season. They had the goaltender pulled for the extra attacker as they were going down past 2:26 remaining in the game. And then a little bit later on, the Predators got a goal that gave them hope. Josi from the blue line. The shot, he scored! Roman Josi with 23.6 to go.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yes, I am. Roman Josi with his 18th of the year cut it to 2-1, the 6-on-5 goal. But that was it for the Predators. And now, tomorrow, they face the Winnipeg Jets in a special matinee at Bridgestone Arena. Hope you'll be able to join us for that. This is Pete Weber reporting on the Fifth Third Bank Nashville Predators Radio Network.
All the best car deals in Smashville start at Newton Nissan. Visit them at Newton Nissan of Gallatin or Newton Nissan South in Shelbyville.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Now, your Game Center update.
This is Nick Keyser for your Game Center update. The Nashville Predators still remain 4 points outside the final wild card spot after losing 2-1 to the Chicago Blackhawks yesterday evening. Chicago was previously 0-13-3 versus the Predators before winning last night. Head coach John Hines on his team's performance.
We've had much more energy and spark to our game, and tonight the guys were working, but we just didn't have it, and some of that comes down to the execution on the chances. And I think it's important that they got to understand, even in this league, you can't get too low, because there's another one coming at 1 o'clock on Saturdays.
And the Tennessee Volunteers took down Louisiana last night 58-55 in the first round of the NCAA tournament, while Penn State upset Texas A&M 76-59, while the 12-seeded Princeton Tigers beat Arizona 59-55. The action continues today with second-round action beginning tomorrow morning at 11:10 a.m. And the Vanderbilt Commodores will take on Michigan in the second round of the NIT tomorrow, with the broadcast starting at 10:30 on 93.3 Classic Hits. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
1, 2, 3. I think it was a good game. Had a couple of big plays.
Roman Josi scores. The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Companies delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. We are at the Rusty Nail out here in Hermitage. Watch the NCAA tournament games. Chad Withrow, Outkick 360, will be here in less than 30 minutes. And again, when you're out here at the Rusty Nail, enjoy $3 two-lane beer drafts while taking in the opening round of the tournament during a St. Patrick's Day celebration. The Rusty Nail is located in Hermitage and provides a great local atmosphere with a large outdoor patio and volleyball courts. Plus, great drinks and great food, especially the wings. Call now to reserve your private events and corporate parties. And let me say this, we have had a time out here at the Rusty Nail today. Now again, the news of the day, Mike Lombardi says on the GM Shuffle that the Titans are asking Kevin Byard to take a pay cut, and that if Kevin Byard doesn't take a pay cut, they may release him. Now I didn't know if that was the case or not. I decided, hey, Mike Lombardi's got, some sources, and he's a former general manager in the league and done 2 tours of duty in that Floyd Reese position with Belichick. But it just didn't seem right to me. Like, I just didn't see the Titans releasing Kevin Byard. So I did some digging. And I said, did the Titans ask Kevin Byard to take a pay cut? And I was told by the same person who told me John Robinson had been fired 20 minutes before the news came out. I was told that Kevin Byard has asked the Titans for his release. That the Titans did ask Kevin Byard to take a pay cut, and that Kevin Byard wanted an extension, and the Titans were not willing to engage in those talks, and Kevin Byard has asked for his release. Now, as I've said on the program, and Corey Curtis was on our show earlier today, I think we're all on Byard's side. At least I am with all of this. But Kevin Byard on Locker Cleanout Day was asked about being a Titan and wanting to be a Titan, and here's what he said.
I just finished my 7th year here in Tennessee. I would love to be able to retire as a Titan. This team, this city, this organization, the fans, community, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to my family. So definitely wouldn't want to play any other place, any other city, any other organization other than Tennessee Titans.
So I don't think he's not telling the truth. But remember that A.J. Brown said the same thing last year too. A.J. even to this day maintains that A.J. wanted to retire a member of the Tennessee Titans. Now remember how the Tennessee Titans told us, we want to sign A.J. We're not interested in trading A.J. Not as long as I'm the coach will we not have A.J. Brown. We don't foresee trading A.J. And then what'd they do? They traded A.J. Brown. So sometimes it's hard to believe what people are saying at that time. And I think we saw with the A.J. Brown situation, maybe a little bit of what we're probably seeing with the Byard situation. A.J. Brown wanted his money. He saw what the other receivers on the market were getting, and he demanded, hey, it's time to pay me. And A.J. made sure everybody knew it. And the Titans, who were using their leverage and negotiating slowly, like teams negotiate slowly, the Titans said, hold on, can't do this, can't do that. And A.J. cut off communication with the team. His agent, Torrey Dandy, according to A.J., his agent told him to do that. Now, I have my own theory behind what happened with A.J. Brown. And ultimately, I think it was a massive miscommunication between A.J. Brown and the Tennessee Titans. And I believe that the Tennessee Titans could have avoided that issue if they had just ignored all the noise. If they had just kind of realized what they had in A.J. and just said, hey, we have the leverage on A.J., so I know A.J.'s mad today, and I know A.J.'s saying this, and I know A.J.'s saying that, but it's not going to happen. We're going to keep you. Kind of what the 49ers did with Deebo Samuel. But they didn't do it. They traded A.J. Brown. And with Byard, I don't know this for a fact, but I do wonder if the Titans asking him to take a pay cut is what maybe drew a wedge between him and the team. Because even when I heard the Mike Lombardi report today, again, the reason why I did some digging on this is because I didn't think the Titans would ask Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. As of right now, according to SpotTrack, the Titans have the lowest payroll in the NFL. Now, once these other deals come in here, once the deals for Andre Dillard and Arden Key and those guys come in, maybe they won't have the lowest 2023 payroll in the NFL. But as of right now, they're $20 million behind the Bears for the lowest payroll in the league. Well, why would a team with the lowest payroll in the league ask Kevin Byard to take a pay cut? And normally, if you ask a guy to take a pay cut and he says no, the recourse to that is that guy's not on your team anymore. He reminds me of Jarrell Casey. Titans wanted Jarrell Casey to take a pay cut. Jarrell Casey's money guaranteed on the third day of the league year, and they traded him for a 7th-round pick to the Denver Broncos. And I remember people during that free agency run during the COVID shutdowns kept asking, well, what are they going to spend the Casey money on? When are they going to spend the Casey? What's going to replace Casey? When are they going to? And they really didn't do anything until they signed Jadeveon Clowney during training camp, right before the start of the season, which makes me think that they were never going to do anything with the Casey money. They just didn't want to pay it. And they figured he was too old and he was a declining player, and ultimately they were right. But when Casey refused the pay cut, that was when they moved on. At least that's what Floyd hypothesized. With Byard, Mike Lombardi said the Titans might cut him if he doesn't take a pay cut. And I could not believe that, because what's the alternative? What would be the reason for releasing Kevin Byard? It's not cap. The Titans would clear up $6 million in cap space. Do you really think the Titans can get a better player than Kevin Byard for $6 million? You know the answer to that. So what would be the point in releasing Kevin Byard? It would be to not pay the money. Well, again, you got the lowest payroll in the league. You're slashing $14 million off of a $140 million budget. What was a $217 million budget last year? $14 million is not the end of the world for that budget. What would be the point? And that's the hard part here, as far as I'm concerned. And when I wonder what changed between Kevin Byard saying, I want to retire a Titan, I'm all about the Titans, I want to be a Titan for life, and then hearing today that Kevin Byard has requested his release from the team, the only thing I can think of that has changed, in my opinion, is that maybe he felt disrespected by the team asking him to take a pay cut. Derrick Henry, and I talked about this with Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel, and them shopping Derrick Henry at the Combine. And the thing that I make of that is I think that Derrick Henry ignores the noise, and Derrick Henry understands the business, and Derrick Henry doesn't care. But the second that you go to another team and you say, what do you think about Derrick Henry? Would you be interested in Derrick Henry? The second that that happens, another general manager turns around and goes to other teams and reporters and says, well, I heard the Titans are interested in moving off of Derrick Henry. And they trade information that way. And again, I don't think it would bust them because it's Derrick Henry and he doesn't take it personally. But how would A.J. Brown have felt about that? How would you have felt about that at your job? So Kevin Byard is a 2-time All-Pro. He plays every single game. He toughs it out through the thick times, and he is right there through the thin. And so if you're Kevin Byard, they're coming to you saying, hey, we got to take a pay cut, we might release you. It's like, for everything I've given this city and everything I've given this organization, and I'm still playing at a high level, which might be the most important part of it, I get where Kevin Byard's coming from. Now, I agree with Corey Curtis. I do think that when cooler heads prevail, I do believe that the Titans and Kevin Byard will stay together after this season. And that's just a gut feel. That is not from talking to anybody. I do not think that Kevin Byard is ultimately going to get released by the Titans. But I understand why Kevin Byard would be offended at the idea of taking a pay cut, especially given the finances of this team. It's like I said with Corey Curtis. I said, I think you're on his side. And he said, yeah. And I'm kind of on his side, too. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025 here on the Stillman and Company program. 615-737-1025. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. That's right. I have been telling you about Duke for the last week and a half because I am in love with them. This March, take a shot at college hoops with a no-sweat bet on FanDuel Sportsbook. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or if you already have an account, because right now, all customers can tip off the tournament with a no-sweat bet. Just sign into your FanDuel Sportsbook account to claim yours today. Or, if you're new to FanDuel, go to FanDuel.com/JGM to get in on all the action. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to a 5 versus 12 matchup. Told you, Duke, Duke, Duke. And I have guaranteed it that Duke is going to beat Tennessee tomorrow. Guarantee it. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. There's no better place to bet the tournament than FanDuel Sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/JGM to join now or sign into your FanDuel Sportsbook account to claim your no-sweat bet today. And make every moment more with FanDuel, my guys, and my official sportsbook app. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max bonus is $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
The winner is... Listen all this week to Chase and Michelle for your chance to win 4-day passes to the Bourbon and Beyond Festival.
Really gearing up here, Chase.
I'm excited.
Oh, yeah!
It's the world's largest bourbon and music festival, coming September 14th through the 17th in Louisville, Kentucky.
Makes you want to dance.
Yeah, I love it.
Let's move to it.
Listen all this week for your chance to win on Chase and Michelle.
I am listening.
From 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like the aggressively sophisticated Toyota Highlander, with room for up to 8 and the most advanced safety features. Now through April 4th, you can get low 3.99 APR financing on a new 23 Highlander. With approved credit through TFS, excludes hybrids, and every new Toyota comes with 2 years no-cost maintenance included. Get complete details at buyatoyota.com. Ready, set, go get your Toyota today. Toyota, let's go places.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture, eat strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want. But unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hi, this is Chef Mark at Bob's Steak and Chop House at the Omni Hotel. Looking for a romantic dinner with that special someone? Be sure to join us and try one of our signature dishes, like our Australian cold water lobster tail, flash fried to perfection, and tossed in lemon butter. Did I also mention we've won the Wine Spectator Award of Excellence 7 consecutive years? Come join us for a memorable meal here at Omni and be sure to ask for Chef Mark.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Sports and leadership go hand in hand. In fact, 94% of women executives were student athletes. Play Like a Girl is creating a more equal playing field for the next generation of women in leadership. You can help too. Become a mentor, donor, or volunteer. Learn more at iplaylikeagirl.org/mentor.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You know, I said this to Caroline when I said that I was told that Byard's requested his release. This is what I think happened, Corey. I think the Titans went to Byard and said, we'd like you to take a pay cut. And Byard said, well, if I'm going to take a pay cut, you got to guarantee me some money next year. They said no, and he said, well, then release me. You know, almost calling them on the bluff. You know, screw you if you're going to try. I think if that's what happened, Corey, I'm on Kevin Byard's side.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, like I said, you could very well argue the best player
on the team. He has done everything you ever asked for him as a player. Now, you've got a lot of money sunk into the safety position because you paid Amani Hooker. But, that's not Kevin Byard's fault. That was the previous GM who did that. And, you can't ask Byard to fix all of your problems. And look, I know there's no loyalty, with the way things are done. Mike Vrabel got traded to the Chiefs, so he knows. He's been through it. But, again, there are other areas where I think you could go get money rather than really dumping on a guy who's arguably your best player of the last decade and could be on your Titans Mount Rushmore.
There you go. That was Corey Curtis on our show earlier, and he's on Kevin Byard's side. If there is an issue, he is on Kevin Byard's side, and I am too. Phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Texter into the text line says, I see nothing about the Titans on Kevin Byard's social media. Is that concerning? And as soon as I saw that, I pulled up his Instagram, and all of his Instagram is all Titan stuff. So I don't see that. I don't see. I mean, I don't know if this is just negotiating between the two sides of saying, like, no, I'm not going to take a pay cut. I'm not interested in taking a pay cut. I mean, for me, I'm not sure. Okay, we got this from Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter saying, quote, the Titans approached Kevin Byard about a pay cut, but the Pro Bowl safety does not believe his play warrants a decrease in salary. Byard has wanted to play for one organization and ultimately retire as a Titan, but the two sides are at a crossroads per source. So, I mean, if Adam Schefter is saying the two sides are at a crossroads, I think that wow. Damn. So what do we make of that? Adam Schefter is reporting the Titans and Kevin Byard are at a crossroads, which basically means that Adam Schefter is confirming my report that I started at 2 o'clock saying that Kevin Byard wants to be released, that he's asked the team for a release, or at least at nothing else, that Byard is not willing to take a pay cut. And it's just like Corey said right there, and it's just like I'm saying right now, I'm telling you, I am telling you right now, straight up, that I believe the way this is going to play out, ultimately the two sides will figure it out. That the Titans and Kevin Byard will figure it out one way or another. But I think that this is a bad look for the Titans. Wow. Adam Schefter reporting that Kevin Byard and the Titans are at a crossroads, which is what we came on at 2 o'clock today and said. What we said was that the Mike Lombardi report that they had asked Byard to take a pay cut is true. Then I was told that Byard wanted an extension and the Titans would not engage. And my guess is Byard's going to say, hey, if I'm going to take a pay cut, you got to guarantee me some money for next year. And I am not sure that this is me. I am not sure that the Titans can afford to lose Kevin Byard. One, I don't know if they can compete if they lose Kevin Byard. Two, I don't know how this fan base is going to react to them losing Kevin Byard, because I've read all your tweets and taken all your phone calls today. 615-737-1025. We will get back to your phones. 615-737-1025. Chris in Lewisburg says, Jared, don't you think Rand Carthon owes it to himself to explore every possibility with no rock unturned? I think I think a lot of people probably believe this, that, you know what? When you own a business, you have to take a look at every opportunity. But if I found out that my bosses at 1025 The Game were thinking, can we get a better afternoon show host? Can we get a cheaper afternoon show host? Can we do all of those things? And it got back to me that they were looking to do that. I think that would hurt our relationship. And I love my bosses. And I love my job. But if I knew that my bosses were actively trying to replace me, or if I knew my bosses didn't think that I was good enough at my job, that would hurt me. And in the case of me, and I think, in the case of Kevin Byard, I think it's fair to say that Kevin Byard's still good. And not to sit there and say, it's about me, but I think I'm pretty good too. Text to the text line says, Schefter just tweeted about what you're talking about. I do wonder if the anti-Jared Stillman crew, I do wonder if they're sitting there today saying, oh, man. And I told you that the same people that told me that John Robinson was getting fired 20 minutes before it happened, the same people told me today that Kevin Byard had asked the Titans for a release. Now, here's what I think is going to happen. And I think this is kind of, in there in the Schefter report, which is I think Kevin Byard is ultimately going to deny that he has asked for a release because he doesn't want to look like he's quitting on the team. And I think ultimately the Titans are going to come out and say, when all is said and done, that they were just working on adjusting the contract and not really thinking about giving him a pay cut. But that doesn't mean it's true. Just remember all the A.J. Brown stuff last year and everything we were told about the Titans and A.J. Brown. We'll never trade A.J. Brown, and we'll never be interested in doing that. Yeah, how'd that work out? LD from McMinnville says, hopefully Rand Carthon couldn't care less what the fans want or think about his decisions. Once he starts thinking like the fans, he'll become one. And that's true. You know what's funny about all the people talking about Rand Carthon today about all this stuff? What's crazy for me is that Mike Vrabel, these guys are supposed to be aligned, right? That's all we were told. Every time we ask who's in charge with the Titans, they always tell us that it's a 50-50 split, and they will not tell us who's in charge. They won't say, oh, well, Rand ultimately makes the personnel decisions, and Mike makes the coaching decisions, but they work together. No, they won't say that. And every text I've read and every call I've taken today, it's been about Rand Carthon. Well, what about Mike Vrabel? Where's Mike Vrabel in this? Does Mike Vrabel think that Kevin Byard is not a $14 million player? Because, again, Jesse Bates just signed for $16 million with Cincinnati. So are you telling me that he's not a $14 million player? Donovan texts in and says, if Byard leaves and the Titans get nothing for him, that sounds like they did some poor management. I don't understand all the interactions of business legalities and free agency, but my gosh, could the Titans get something for him? How badly could you mess that up? What do you consider something for Byard? The trade market for older players with heavy salaries is not very big. Jalen Ramsey, who's still a top 10 corner in the league, Jalen Ramsey just went for a third-round pick. So at best for Byard, I think you're probably looking at a fifth. And when I say a fifth, I'm thinking maybe even a fifth in next year's draft. That might be what you're looking at. So I don't think you're going to get on the trade market. And again, if you trade him, all you get for moving on from Kevin Byard is $6 million in salary cap space. Are you going to get a Kevin Byard for $6 million? And you and I both know the answer. Bud Dupree, for instance, he had a huge salary number, but I think that you're going to get more consistency. Arden Key's going to play 17 games. I understand that transition. And I understand the transition from Taylor Lewan, who's never healthy and older, to Andre Dillard. But I would not understand the transition from Kevin Byard to some Scarbini that's still out there in free agency to think that, oh, yeah, their Titans are going to get the same quality of play. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Chad Withrow, Outkick 360, is here and will join us at the Rusty Nail. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Sometimes replacing equipment in your home can be overlooked until something breaks, but there are actually big problems that can come from old, outdated, vintage HVAC systems. Older systems have higher repair costs, require more maintenance, and result in higher utility bills. Even worse, they can break down when you need them the most. This month during Hiller's Vintage Showdown, they're giving away a free HVAC system to the owner of the oldest unit. It's easy to enter. Just go online to happyhiller.com and submit a picture of your old unit. Plus, everybody wins with trade-in credits and 0% interest financing for up to 48 months on replacements. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. My guys. They've been taking care of my home for years. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face truck today. We're live from the Rusty Nail, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, I'm Ryan Johansson, and this is Smashville.
Back to Johansson, and Johansson tips it in with one hand on the stick.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, the fun extends beyond the beach because here the arts are alive, the food is al fresco, and the nightlife is electric. So let's forget the cold and find our place in the sun. Let's explore captivating collections at the Salvador Dali Museum and bask in bay views from the St. Pete Pier. Let's fill up on fresh caught cuisine and catch up over cold craft beer on rooftop patios. Day or night, let's shine. Plan your escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select Kubota compact tractors. Rated #1 in durability and owner experience. They're designed for easy operation and feature performance-matched attachments. Right now, put 0 down and get 0% APR for up to 72 months, plus save up to $800 on select equipment. Now through June 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor Company, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
For one day only, Saturday, March 25th, get 5+ acres and a new cabin package on sale for only $69.9 during the Nashville Acreage Grand Opening Land Sale. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get the best of both worlds. Flat, usable, prime Nashville acreage with the biggest and most spectacular ridgeline views in the entire Nashville area. Priced below market prices. Come explore this recreational paradise and make your dreams of owning exceptional Nashville acreage a reality for less. With 5+ acres and a new cabin package for just $69.9. Best of all, these properties include first-class infrastructure like county water, electric, and county road frontage. All huge advantages in today's market. Appointment times are filling up fast. Call now to book your private tour. 615-437-6348. That's 615-437-6348. Cabin kit package for materials only. Delivered to site by third party. Taxes and delivery not included. Price is subject to change without notice or obligation. Call for complete details. An equal housing opportunity.
Still overpaying for a razor? In this economy? Gross. At Dollar Shave Club, you can get a top shelf shave at a regular shelf price. We've been hawking shaving products for years online, and we're excited to bring you the same great quality and low prices at a store near you. From high-quality stainless steel blades to super smooth shave creams, Dollar Shave Club's in the business of making your shave easier. Find Dollar Shave Club in the men's razor aisle. Getting your Dollar Shave Club razor wherever you want. Isn't that great?
All of us at Cromwell Media, who owns this radio station, are recognizing two special teammates this month. Andrea Kamer is celebrating her 16th year as our corporate business manager. It's no secret, Andrea is the glue that holds everything together around here. And we're saluting Caroline Fenton, one of our stellar co-hosts of the Midday Show on 102.5, 106.3 The Game, as she wraps up her second year with us. Andrea and Caroline, you are what makes this a special place to work. Want to join our team? Send us a note at together@cromwellmedia.com.
When you want live and local.
If they were just better at the offensive line.
You can be a contender in the AFC again.
They've had more winning seasons than not. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game has you covered. Looking for some national programming?
Why do I want to get a running back like that 5 more years?
The AFC now is so deep at quarterback.
Check out 94.9 The Fan. Nashville's home for all things sports is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt head coach Jerry Stackhouse. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
And Jesse Bates is a good player, but to me, I think when, Kent Byard, the kid at Tennessee, right? Kevin Byard, he's really a good player. They're trying to get him to take a pay cut. So would I sign Bates? If he doesn't take a pay cut, they're going to cut him. So if I sign Bates, do I go after I would rather have Byard than Bates. I think he's really a good player. So you got to kind of play that around a little bit. You got to wait.
Oh, Kevin Byard. Wow, that's an interesting one because he's a former All-Pro. He's a heck of a player.
He's a really good player, but they're trying to get him to take a pay cut. He doesn't want to do it. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. Who's, they bluffing? Are they not bluffing? I mean, they got cap issues. I mean, that team's in a mess.
There you go. That was Michael Lombardi, former NFL general manager on the GM Shuffle. I followed up with that, and I found out Kevin Byard, hey, he told the team that he wanted an extension. The team said no. Kevin Byard's asked for his release. Now, TD's put out there, Teron Davenport, that Byard has not asked the team for a release. I was told he was. Adam Schefter put out there just now that Byard is at a crossroads with the Titans. Chad Withrow, Outkick 360, is here with us at the Rusty Nail. What do you make of this drama today, Chad?
I make it that you are Jared Schefter at this point. Good job,
Thank
Jared.
you. Thank you.
You broke the story. I mean, I saw – it's funny, I was pulling into the parking lot here and looked down at my phone. I saw 2 minutes before I walked in that the Adam Schefter tweet, and my first thought was, well, you broke the story. I mean, you had it. Look, you can word it however you want. At a crossroads, ask for a release, whatever. The bottom line is – based on what you're saying and what you've heard and now what Adam Schefter is saying, the Titans asked Kevin Byard to do something. He didn't want to do it completely. He came back with another option. They weren't willing to do that option, and now they're at a crossroads. Did he ask for a release? It sounds like he did. Either way, just a weird thing for the Titans. And I keep going back to, I think the number is $6 million. If they get rid of Kevin Byard, $6 million they gain in the cap, right? Is it 13 or 16 for Ryan Tannehill if they were to move on from him? There's all these things that I'm thinking, is it really a salary cap thing, or is it the owners are trying to sell the team thing and they're trying to get rid of payroll, and they're trying to it's odd. The whole thing is weird to me, but great job by you breaking the story.
What do you make, though, to your point about the owner selling the team thing? I mean, according to SpotTrack, the Titans have the lowest payroll right now in the NFL. And, I mean, we could talk about cap numbers and restructures and everything else, but, I mean, $14 million for Byard is not ridiculous. I mean, I think that's probably his value. Tannehill, $27 million. Derek Carr's $37.5. So $27 million is not the end of the world for Tannehill in terms of real money. What is the deal here?
Yeah, I'm not going to go as the way you did. You got it by a much better source with what you had on Kevin Byard when you talked about that story. I have heard multiple rumblings, though, that this ownership group is not in it for the long haul and that this team may be for sale at some point. Now, I don't know, do you really go below the cap, or do you try to cut cost and cut salaries and all that before you sell? That's what you do in most businesses. Does it make sense to do for an NFL team where you're going to cut your players, their payroll down to do that, to try to get you as lean as possible before you sell? I don't know that it makes a ton of sense. I just think all these things added up really lead to sort of a weird concoction right now for the Titans. And you mentioned earlier, I was listening on the way in, of all the guys to go to and want to restructure, I think that Kevin Byard is he's ultimately a victim of his own loyalty to this team because of all the great things he said about wanting to be a Titan for life. And, his roots are here. He's from Murfreesboro. I think when you're that loyal, management could look at that and say, well, here's a guy we can exploit. So let's go over to this guy. Let's try to get him to do something that's more friendly to the club. And he's going to do it because he's a Titan. He's with us. So he's going to help us out. He's going to hurt himself. It's a mistake a lot of managers make. A lot of people make, and Kevin Byard said, no, I'm not the problem here. It's not my play that's an issue for this team. It's not my salary that's the issue for this team. It's other things, and he fought back, and I say good for him on that.
If this ownership group was not in it for the long haul, why would they fire John Robinson and then pay his salary over the next couple of years of what they owe him after they just gave him a contract extension?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I don't know if it's the family issues that are going on also, and there's something there with that.
Do we have more of those?
More of what?
The Adams and the,
I think
Tommy
there's always,
Smith.
I think there's always something. Look, again, that doesn't make sense that you'd want to pay John Robinson for that. Again, I've heard this from a couple different places that they could be interested in selling the team at some point. They haven't said anything different than they're here for the long haul and they're going to own this team. I hope they don't sell it. I think this ownership group has been good overall since Amy Adams Strunk took over. So I'm hoping that's not going to be the case. Yeah, that is a mystery as to why they'd want to do that with John Robinson. And the craziest thing is, we get ready for the draft. Rand Carthon is the ultimate mystery. We have no clue what this guy's going to be like. We're getting some hints about it right now, this news about Kevin Byard being part of it, but we don't know what he's ultimately going to do. We don't know what he values in players. We know what the 49ers did under John Lynch, but he was a part of John Lynch's system there.
Mm-hmm.
What is he different from John Lynch?
Well,
What does
he
he want to do on
was
his
fourth in
own?
command there, too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a part of the organization. Just like John Robinson, we think is of the Patriot way, and he was, but he's not Bill Belichick. He's going to look at things differently and look at guys differently. We don't know what the Rand Carthon signature is in terms of how he's going to run an organization or how he's going to evaluate players for the draft or free agency or anything. We've got really almost no sample size right now other than what they've done in free agency, which has been very little. We'll start to know a lot more with this draft. We'll start to know a lot more depending on how this situation turns out with Kevin Byard. Do they ultimately smooth it over and everything's fine? Or does this lead to a situation where he's not a Titan at some point?
Chad Withrow's with us, Outkick 360 here on the program. What do you make about Rand Carthon? And let's throw Vrabel in this too, because Vrabel is now in a position of authority that he wasn't in last year, supposedly. The fact that it feels like they're kind of screwing it up a little bit from this standpoint. They shopping Derrick Henry last week, and that gets out. And Derrick Henry, and I've said this, I think Derrick Henry doesn't care. He understands the business. He's not going to take it personally. If that were A.J. Brown, that would have been a volcano that would have erupted with that Mike Silver report that came out. Now we got the Byard thing. That, Mike Lombardi said this 3 days ago. I heard about it this morning. I find out later that all of a sudden Byard, is going to the team and telling them, kind of screw you and the team. I mean, so now you've got issues with Henry and Byard that you didn't have to have, and now it's all spilling out into the public. Is this a knock on the Carthon-Vrabel administration and how they're handling their business?
So this is probably going to be a bit of a different take on this. I think the fact they were shopping Derrick Henry says a lot of good things about Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel. For this reason, they've gotten the most out of Derrick Henry that they can. I don't think Derrick Henry is done. I think he can still be he can be the biggest part of this offense moving forward. But I'm of the belief that the Titans are in rebuild mode. I know you're not, but this is not a team that's going to compete. They're not going to contend. They've got so many holes in this roster right now. I don't think they're going to plug them in time for the season. I don't think they can. So if that's the case, what's the use of having an asset like Derrick Henry with you? An example. Boy, the Buffalo Bills could use Derrick Henry.
Oh, God.
In their running game. And you get into January and playoff games, and now you've got Derrick Henry to hammer people with in the playoffs. That's really going to help the Bills. What would Derrick Henry be worth to the Bills? I'd want to find out if I'm Rand Carthon.
Think about this. The Atlanta Falcons, I read this week. They're spending all this money on Jonnu Smith and Jesse Bates, and they paid the guard. The way the salary cap works, it's not just capping your spending or supposedly capping your spending. You have to spend X amount of dollars every year in that cap space, so they need big salaries in order to push them up there. You're telling me that with Jonnu Smith and Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Cordero Patterson, that Arthur Smith wouldn't take Derrick Henry and say, hey, now I got Derrick Henry and Cordero Patterson on my team with Kyle? I mean, you could move all those players. They could all play receiver except for Derrick. They could all play running back, tight end, whatever. I mean, I think there is a market out there for Derrick Henry.
And I just think if you can get something back. Sure. I mean, right now is the time to make moves like that. And if it's not going to affect your playoff possibilities really that much, because I don't think there's a lot of playoff possibilities for this team personally right now. I think now is the time to get out ahead of it. You want to be a year ahead, not a year behind on decisions like this. So I don't think you go into it saying we absolutely want to move Derrick Henry. I think you go into it and say let's explore every option, and if we get a great return, which I don't think they would get a great return, but if we do, if the Buffalo Bills, for example, is desperate for a guy like Derrick Henry, you get a good amount in return. You clear up some cap space. There's some flexibility there with that. I think that would be a good move and something they should explore. So I don't look at that as a negative. Now, if you go and talk to teams about a trade, it's going to get out.
Sure.
It's not getting out from the Titans side. I don't ding the Titans for that. If the story's reported that Derrick Henry's being shopped, I don't see that as a Titans problem. I see that as that's the cost of doing business in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you go around and start talking to people about, hey, this guy might be available, someone in that other organization is going to leak it. It's going to get out one way or the other. You can deny it. You can stay silent on it. We've seen these stories go away pretty quick. But I don't begrudge the Titans over that part of it.
What do you make about the Titans and the Byard thing?
I think they are coming across as incredibly cheap and also incredibly ungrateful.
Do you think this is even
and I'm not
Carthon
someone that's
and Vrabel,
like, hey,
or do you think this is above Carthon
Look,
and
there's
Vrabel?
there's a great Don Draper line in Mad Men where Peggy Olson in the show is just complaining about not getting thanked enough and not being appreciated. And I think Don Draper says, well, that's what the money's for. That's why we pay you as much as we do. It's not for me to sit here and tell you how great you are. I buy that in pro sports too. I'm not one that's always going to be, you got to make the guy feel like he's welcome. And, they pay Kevin Byard and gave him a contract for a lot of money because he's good and they like him. But I think it is different with Byard. It's something about the local angle to it. He has been such a leader and a perfect citizen for this Titans organization and in this community that when you're going to him about doing something and then not willing to play ball, if they're trying to work out something more on the back end of it, it does come across to me as ungrateful. And I'm not usually one to go that way with management or a team and that, they're being ungrateful to a guy. They pay him a lot of money. That's how they're grateful. But I do think this comes across as both cheap and ungrateful. And I'll say it again. If you're really interested in rebuilding and retooling and trying to do it as fast as possible, I think you got to go down quicker than what we've seen some teams in the league do, where they sort of fight against the current. And they see the current coming, and they're drowning in it, but they fight against it at all costs. And they try to stay relevant as long as they can. And in the end, it may cost them an extra season of irrelevance because they're fighting it too hard. I don't want the Titans to go down that path and think there's something that they're not.
So if I were in charge, Chad Withrow's with us, Outkick 360. If I were in charge, I would fight it for this year. Now, I wouldn't go out there and, trade my first-round pick in order to get, I'm not doing that. But I would run it back with Henry and Tannehill and Byard, and I'd go get another tight end, and I'd, whatever.
Receivers.
Yes. I would go get some players,
end.
and I would try to see if I can make up that 2 minutes and 50 seconds with Jacksonville if a new offensive coordinator and a new line coach and a new line can make a difference in a second-place schedule, and Jacksonville has to play a first-place schedule. I would do that, but I wouldn't do it past this season. After this season, if you're right and I'm wrong, then fine. On we go. Bring in Sam Darnold. We're going to stink. Let's draft some guys. Let's whatever. Fine. But I think they should try to give it a go this year. And I think that more. I thought they thought like me. I think they think like you now.
I think they should think like me.
I know you think that.
Obviously, they would be smart to think like me on this. Now, look, I do see a scenario where what you're talking about, they could win the division. It's not out of the question. They're not Houston a year ago, right? They've got something, and they've got some success within the division. But, we're talking about a complete offensive line overhaul. We're talking about bringing in a tight end. We're talking about receiver help that they need badly. There are just so many things to go down the list that they need that they're not going to sign all that in free agency.
But they got a defense.
They're not going to bring in guys in the draft. They can go get an offensive lineman early, and he could start immediately. But outside of that, you're not going to bring in a bunch of immediate impact guys that way. They do have a defense. Again, I think they can stay competitive because of the defense.
Coach,
how confident are you in Ryan Tannehill? Twofold. His play right now, but staying healthy long enough to do it.
If he's got a better line, I think he stays. He has not missed a game until this season with this bullcrap offensive line.
Let me ask you this. Let's say he misses 4 games because that's kind of the track record now.
You're screwed.
Is Josh Dobbs good enough to go 2-2 in those games? To me, that's the mark of a great backup quarterback.
Yeah.
The great backup quarterbacks can get you a split. Not always, but they could. You could go into it saying, we can split 4 games if we miss our guy for 4 games. Is Josh Dobbs that guy? I love Josh Dobbs. I can't say that he is. I don't think that he is right now, even though he was better than Malik Willis when he played this year. But there's just so many question marks in that roster right now.
Chad Withrow, Outkick 360 with us. Fireball Hot Take Friday. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Shot clock at 2. And the three is good from Jordan Wright.
After an amazing end-of-season run, the Vanderbilt Commodores look to win the NIT.
Wright fires. Wow!
Join Jerry Stackhouse and his team for every moment on your home for Vanderbilt basketball. 93.3 Classic Hits.
Starting this Sunday, it's the Electronic Express Famous Half Price Fair. Get incredible savings on all 4K TVs, appliances, home audio, computers and tablets, housewares, and more. Save up to 50% in every department. You'll not find a lower price anywhere. We guarantee it. The Famous Half Price Fair. It's first come, first served. Starting this Sunday, 10 a.m. at all Electronic Express locations. And get up to 3 years free financing. The Electronic Express Famous Half Price Fair starts this Sunday at 10 a.m.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willie Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. Use that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hi, this is Chef Mark again from Bob's Steak and Chop House at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Come join us before any Preds game or concert at Bridgestone Arena. Enjoy one of our prime steaks. Why Bob's, you may ask? Because at Bob's, we not only serve prime beef, but the top 2% of prime beef in the world. Try our certified Japanese A5 or Australian tomahawks. So come see us at Omni before you go to any game and make sure to ask for Chef Mark. Let's go Preds!
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Valvoline Advanced can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $37.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
One is smart.
This has just been a constant trend for this team.
One is funny.
That's right.
Funny looking, maybe. Chase and Michelle with Chase McCabe and Michelle Knezovic.
Are you listening?
I'm listening.
Everybody's listening.
Weekdays from 9 to 11. Presented by Hair Club. Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We're through with us here at the Rusty Nail. Again, they've got the St. Patty's Day party going on. You've got your green on. I've got my green on. We got the Tullamore Dew beads everywhere. So fun times here at the Rusty Nail.
It's a good spot. You're close to my house here, so I'm not too far away.
I like it.
I like this spot. Yeah,
I like it. They say the wings
the neighborhood bar feel to it for sure.
They say the wings here are like a must-try.
Have you seen the volleyball courts out back?
I have not.
When you get a chance, it's kind of a maze to get back there, but walk out back and see all the volleyball courts. It's cool.
Chad Withrow's with us. Adam Schefter confirming our report that the Titans and Kevin Byard, he says they're at a crossroads. I was told Kevin Byard asked for a release with the Titans after they asked him to take a pay cut. Regardless, the marriage seems to be at odds. How do you think this ends up? End result here. Is Byard a Titan week 1 next year?
I think he's a Titan week 1. I do think that cooler heads will prevail. I heard your clip with Corey Curtis. I think they figure something out and they come together on this. If not, let's go ahead and say there is a new sheriff in town. And I don't know if that new sheriff is Rand Carthon or Mike Vrabel. I don't know if this is Mike Vrabel now fully having control of everything and just decisions he would make that we're seeing, or if it's Rand Carthon running the show. I think it's more of a cooperation between the two moving forward. But if they really want to draw a line in the sand and say, no, this is what we're asking of you. Either do it or we'll cut you or we'll move on. That is a sort of a new era for the Titans. But I think ultimately, Jared, they will figure things out.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, I don't want to have to cover a team that stinks, and not only that, a team that purposely decides to stink.
Hey, by the way, I heard you guaranteed Duke will win tomorrow, right?
I did.
Against Tennessee.
I am guaranteeing Duke will be.
I hate to admit it, but I like your guarantee in that one. I will say, though.
I thought last night's game was the worst basketball game I've ever seen.
Duke or Tennessee?
Tennessee. The Tennessee
Yeah,
Louisiana looked like they were allergic to the ball.
Yeah, and Tennessee had 12 turnovers in the first half where the guys are tripping over their own feet. They're throwing it to guys not looking for the ball right out of bounds. I thought Tennessee was good for about a 12-minute stretch of the game where they look like a competent team without Ziegler. Then they, give up a 13-0 run. They have to hang on for dear life. Survive and advance, so I'm fine with the win. I will say this, though, for Tennessee. The one thing that gives me pause, Duke is playing so well. Tennessee is not, especially since they weren't playing that well with Ziegler towards the end, but especially not with Ziegler. Tennessee has been so much better when they are the attacker and not the attacked. Kansas, Texas, Alabama, whenever they feel like they have something to prove, they've been a lot better. I'm not saying they're going to beat Duke. It would not surprise me if they play really well. And if they play really well, they will have a chance to win. But that being said, I was shocked the line was only 2.5.
The line was 2.5?
I thought it'd be like 7 or 8 Duke favored.
I mean, I think even with Ziegler, Tennessee's not a national championship contender.
No, I don't think so either.
I think Duke's a national title contender.
I think they are now. I would not have said that a month and a half ago.
But Lively
the way they've
Filipowski.
gelled,
yeah.
And they've got shooters. Roach is coming along too. The way Filipowski and Lively, they're really good at touching the paint, getting it out for open looks when nothing's there. Tennessee does have some size that I think can contend with them down low and make it difficult on those 2 7-footers. But, I mean, ultimately Tennessee just can't score enough. I look around the court. Last night, their seniors are doing nothing. Jemiah Mashak, the sophomore, is the only one stepping up. Vescovy has 3 points, and that's it. James can't hit anything. That's the problem. They got to have those guys really elevate if they're going to do anything.
Can I tell you a big pet peeve I have this time of year?
Yep.
Bracket talk. Not like talk
about your personal bracket?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I just assume everyone's bracket is busted. Like when you tell me your bracket's busted, I'm like, show me the perfect bracket, right? Everyone had Arizona winning multiple games. Almost everyone's bracket is busted at some point, so I don't need to hear about it because we all know bracket busted.
But
right?
you know this because you've been a sports guy where people come up to you and they say, hey, like, what do you, how's your bracket looking or whatever? Yeah. And to me, it makes my skin crawl. So I decided that in another life, I think I would have gotten into comedy. When did the bracket become a thing? We don't do this for any other sport ever. Nobody ever tells you, well, I had the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals in my bracket. And the bracket is only a big deal for, 1 month? We don't talk about brackets in April. We don't talk about them in May, June, July. We don't sit around Thanksgiving and talk about who was in our Sweet 16. And what's the deal with everybody wanting to talk about their bracket for a 2-week period? It's like people feel the need to tell you, well, I had them going to the Final Four and they lost in the first round. Congratulations to you. Nobody cares, and you know nothing about basketball. There you go.
Jared Seinfeld Schefter.
There you
Great job
go.
today.
That's it for us. We're out of here. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.